Step into Wix Studio, the platform for agencies and enterprises.
Hello, I think we're live. We are indeed. And just as a bit of housekeeping, if you can hear me, I think there's a little bit of delay, about 20 seconds or so. If you can hear me, just type in the chat, audio is fine, or you can hear me, or something like that, and then I'll know I can carry on. But it's good to see everyone. The back, and there's wow, there's people from all parts of the world already. This is great. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm surprised you're all here after how much we droned on last time, or how much I droned on last time. The first live I did was 4 hours. Then the second one was 5 hours. And the third one 2 weeks ago was 6 hours. I'm not looking forward to where this one is going because I have a lot of work to do tomorrow, but we'll see how everything goes. So, let's get straight to it. Also, my NAD course is a week today. If any of you are interested, it is almost sold out. If any of you want to come, you're very welcome. Okay, so super chat already. Wow, thank you very much, Liliana. It was very kind. 2 francs. I was in Switzerland recently. Thank you. Giveaway today. So today, I'm actually going to be giving away, subject to medical history and making sure everything is okay, one of the testosterone propionate creams for people. Again, if you don't know what that is, I made a video called Face Testosterone Removes All Wrinkles, getting great results with that. That is up for grabs today. So let's see who does the best super chat, and we'll see who can get that. Let's start with the first one first, if I can get my mouse working, wherever that's gone. Where's the mouse gone? There we go. Okay, mouse is back. Vitalius, good to see you again, my friend. How you doing? Where are you from, Vitalius? I saw you on the previous lives. I'm very intrigued. Let me know. Feral Grandma, thank you very much for joining. We have Stephen and Richard, Coach Stephen Thomas and Richard Smith, I think I remember you from that stream. They will be starting, I think, in about 1 hour, if you want to watch them as well. Great guys, very, very knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than me. They're going to be starting on their channel in, like I said, just under an hour. Stalker. I hope you're not stalking, but hello, thank you for coming. Oh, that's my own comment. Marion, thank you for the love. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much. Graham, thank you. Yeah, well, hopefully it won't go on ridiculously long. Towards the end of the last live stream, I actually started to lose my voice a little bit. And the next day, my voice was very hoarse. And I did struggle a little bit. So if it gets to the point where I actually lose my voice, I'm going to have to stop for obvious reasons. But let's hope it doesn't get to that point. So first question of the night. If you have a question, please do put a Q in front of it. I probably should say that more often, but it does help. So Q and then type your question out and it'll be much easier. So Sophie says, on a previous live, you mentioned not to get a Kinyan. I have elbow tendonitis, trying to address diet and lifestyle. Any other suggestions? Yeah, the Kinyan, you know, and I don't doubt that it works. That's not the problem I have with it. It's how well does it work? And also, if you use something like the Style Pro LED mask, you get that in the face, you get the anti-aging benefit and everything, but also you can just wrap it around your elbow, you know, and that's not going to cost you anything to buy a separate device. And that mask is, I believe, I don't know the price of the Kinyan, I think that's a lot cheaper. So now you've got something for your elbow and your face at the same time for much, much less than buying two completely separate devices. And like I said, the Style Pro, I think in the UK is £99, probably going to be similar in dollars or wherever you are in the world. That's what I would suggest. Get the mask, but just wrap it around your elbow to save yourself a heck of a lot of money. A lot of LED devices will be for a specific place, but if you can use another LED device just for that part of the body, why buy another one? You know, this is another example of people just marketing to create new products that don't necessarily need to be creating. Tara, good evening. Good evening to you. Would NAD Plus be beneficial for someone with fibromyalgia? Individual question. If they're keto, they probably will need a slightly lower dose, is my guess, than normal, than the average person, shall we say. But potentially, yes. It's something subject to an individual consultation, etc., to see how it goes. Beating Anthony Chaffee with your long lives. Yeah, I've heard Anthony Chaffee does long lives. I don't know how long. I've never actually seen. I think part of the reason is because he's in a different part of the world, so I'm not always awake when he is. But I think they're probably about 3 hours, are they? Something like that. I'm pretty sure my first one was 4. But it's not a competition, by the way. Anthony's got a fantastic channel, very, very knowledgeable, very, very intelligent guy. I take nothing away from him. He's brilliant. Laughing Lion. Recommend someone in the UK for jawline filler anywhere outside London, since London's expensive. Yeah, London is expensive. It's not just expensive for you guys, it's expensive for the people doing the treatment as well. I would suggest you maybe look to places like Manchester and Leeds. I know a few people there. I can't remember names off the top of my head, but honestly there are quite a few people available. Maybe I'll have to make a list on my website maybe of recommended places. That might be a good idea. Adam, anyone on the dermatologist that can treat my genetic dark circles around eyes? They've been dark my whole life. I'm Indian, don't know who to go to. Dermatologist, and we don't necessarily need a dermatologist because it's just pigmentation. I would go to someone that maybe could do a little bit of Sunacos for you. Dr. Pratish, DrPratish on Instagram. Great guy, brilliant clinician, very highly skilled. You can look at the rest of your face, which is what I would recommend as well. And that's going to be probably the best that you can do. Got some super chats. Thank you very much, guys. Matt, Matthew Roscoe, cheers, buddy. I appreciate that very much. Feral Grandma. I'm not sure if my husband found your Dermarolling videos, but now we ended up buying the same one, loving it. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Marital Dermarolling, I think we'll call that. Nice, I hope you do it at the same time. That would be cute. So let's have a look where we got up to. Shamin. Most of your answers are diet and lifestyle. Can you please explain exactly what we would need to do for both, like exactly what we should eat and do? Yeah, I mean, personally, I eat a carnivore diet. You don't have to do that. You can go towards it, but not all the way, depending on what your individual situation is like. Lifestyle includes things like making sure you are physically getting enough sunshine to hit your skin, because we need that. We've evolved to be using sunshine for vitamin D production. It involves exercising in a way that is appropriate for you as an individual. It involves making sure that you have adequate sleep, things along those lines. Really basic things, nothing controversial, nothing complicated to understand, but the basics. And also making sure that you're not doing things like drinking way too much alcohol, smoking, shoving your face full of sugar and all those sorts of things. So there's a whole combination of those. I mean, that's probably an entire YouTube channel, not even just a video by itself. Living Clean Keto. QQQ, yes, please do put a Q in front of the thing, because I think I missed a few questions last stream because people didn't put the Q on. So please put the Q and then your question, just to make sure I actually do see it. Living Clean Keto says, 1 year carnivore, loving it. Still have bleeding gums, so I brush. Added 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram of vitamin C, but hasn't helped. I brush twice a day, floss regularly. Any tips? Yeah, it's not about whether you have vitamin C or not for that. It's about how are you brushing. People say, when I brush my teeth, but brush as a verb has a wide range of meaning. Lots of patients, in my dental career, which I'm not practicing anymore, but lots of patients say, I brush twice a day and I'm still getting this problem. I believe them when they say I brush twice a day, because they care about their health. That's why they're seeing me. I do believe them. However, how are you brushing? What is the actual technique being used? And if your technique leaves plaque behind, then that plaque can irritate the gum. And so it's not about, am I ticking this box in terms of what I'm using and what to supplement. It's the actual physical use of the brush, which unfortunately I can't show you here because I don't have your teeth here in front of me. But it's something that you need a conversation for with your dentist, if possible. Ribeye Rob, good to have you back, sir. Good to see you. Janelle Allbritton. I'm so sorry, Janelle, if I've mispronounced that and butchered your name. Hello from the New York area. Good to have you. We always have people from different parts of the world. I think because I drone on for so long, we end up covering many different time zones when people are awake and decide to wake up. So thank you for coming. Safi. Does a Dermarol work as well as a derma stamping pen, like Dr. Pen, for example, and how often is Dermarol? I think it works better than a stamp. Not that a stamp is bad, by the way, I wouldn't discourage it. I mean, a stamp can be better for certain things like the hair, because you don't want it to get caught up with the actual barrel of the roller. So it is dependent on the individual, what your goals are, where you're using it, etc. But I do think they're both better than pneumatic pens for many, many reasons. For example, a pen is going to go in the skin thousands of times. There's a risk there in terms of trauma level, inflammation level, and other related things. You're not going to get that with a roller because it's not causing that much trauma, and so you don't have that level of inflammation, and so you can afford to do it more often. A lot of people will say you can only Dermarol once a month. That's correct for the context that they are thinking about. I'm not thinking about the same context. When you use a pen, probably about once a month is right, and I don't disagree with people. With a roller, with far less trauma done, far less inflammation, once a week is fine as well. So it depends what you're using and how you're using it in order to figure out the frequency. Which does depend on things like clinical presentation, which obviously I can't see in a comment, but it is what it is. Yeah. Again, please do remember to put Q in front of everything. Matt, who did a super chat earlier, unfortunately retracted his message for some reason, but I've got it here, so I'll just read the question out from Matt. He said, clearly messed up the super chat there, laughing face, considering an elective dissolve, so of dermal filler, I think. I'm aware it's a diffusion enhancer and is off-label for dissolving. Any truth behind the stories of damage to skin? So damage to skin from dermal filler dissolving, yeah, it's a complex topic when you really get into the depths. Is it the dissolver causing the damage to the skin, or is it the dissolver revealing the damage to the skin that has been done already by the previous procedure or set of procedures? You actually aren't, as a member of the public, going to be able to see that just from looking at your skin. So what I would suggest is you just go for a really good consultation with ultrasound if possible to figure out where it is, what's happening, and then base it on good quality diagnostics like ultrasound, which is what I do for a lot of patients. And then from there, you can make an appropriate decision with your clinician in terms of how we go about rectifying whatever your issue is. I hope that helps. We have another super chat here. 1 second. Thank you very much. Omega Exist. There's 2 super chats actually. Thank you very much. Let me work through the first one first and the second one second. Singapore, I think, is SGD, Sing dollars. So thank you very much for tuning in. Using a stapler on the chest. Is there an optimal distance to put it away from the skin to optimize the energy between the LED bulbs to overcome that weakness of LED mask? I mean, the mask is designed to be on the skin and resting, so feel free to just rest it on the skin. It's a short answer, I apologize, but that's all you can say. And then part 2. Oh no, it's same one. Okay, no problem. So you just want to, each LED device has an optimal distance that its testing has been done for. So, for example, if you look at certain clinical devices, you might be looking at, say, 25 millimeters. Another device might be something like 20 centimeters. So there is such a thing as, well, a golden window, if you like, for each individual device. And you have to ask the manufacturer for what they have been tested for to give as giving the optimal result. Another super chat, thank you very much, there's 2. So just to recap, if you do a super chat, you're in the running for one of the testosterone propionate creams, which I like to use a lot for myself and my patient. That is actually mine, by the way, and for my patients. So let's see what these super chats are. Daisy from the UK, £5. Thank you very much, Daisy. Question on hyaluronic acid and collagen 123 supplements daily from surgeon. Advised to have hyaluronic acid and cortisone injected in my ankle joint. Is this safe? I mean, it's safe. The products are safe, that's why they're on the market. Is it safe for you individually? It does depend on clinical presentation again. However, supplements for hyaluronic acid and collagen, they're not really going to cause harm. Are they going to cause massive benefit? That's a discussion for another day. But are they safe? That's fine. In terms of cortisone being injected into the ankle joint, yes, it is safe. Just like any other treatment that is done appropriately and with sterile procedures, blah blah blah. Yes, it can be safe. Is it going to be the best one? I don't know, because I haven't seen your ankle, and so therefore it would be impossible to say. There are many products for joint injections on the market, some phenomenal products which I've seen. As to whether it's right for you, I apologize, but it is impossible to say without seeing your ankle and knowing what's actually going on and doing an examination, looking at your medical history, what are the medications you're on, looking at your social history, what meds, what allergies, all these sorts of things. So it can be safe, so I wouldn't worry about the safety aspect. I think you're going to be absolutely fine. I've lost my mouse on screen yet again. Why is this happening to me? Bear with me 1 second. There we go, got it back. So Nav as well, thanks Nav. $10. Let me know where you're speaking from, by the way, if you are from not the UK. And then again, if everyone's from a particular place, I'll just try and shift the live stream along. I was going to do this yesterday because I'm normally on a Saturday. However, I was presenting a lecture on amino acid technology yesterday in, where was I? Amsterdam. And just before that, I was in Milan. So I couldn't, unfortunately, do this yesterday. So this week it's been moved to a Sunday. But we'll see how it goes, and if people prefer a Sunday, we'll keep it here. If people prefer a Saturday, we'll go back to what it was before. So Nab says, 6 months strict carnivore line diet, no improvement in health yet, IBS, fatigue, insomnia, and more, no weight loss, actually gained weight, advice. Again, it does depend on the individual presentation, but it's not uncommon to take a while for things to start to reverse, because it depends how much damage has been done in the first place, that then determines how easy it is to go backwards from that and heal from that damage. So it also depends on how long you've had those issues to actually figure out when you should start to see an effect. But also, I'm not saying you're like this, I'm just speaking generally now. I've had many patients that say I brush my teeth, but I've no idea how they're brushing. So it could actually be that they are brushing, but it's terrible and it's useless. I've had patients say, I eat a healthy diet, but they have no idea what a healthy diet is, and it turns out it's not healthy at all. I have patients say, I'm strict carnivore, and then I ask for a diet history of everything they've eaten for the past 3 weeks, and they're not strict at all. So I don't know what your version of strict is, absolutely. So that may play a role. I don't know. I'm not saying it does or doesn't. I'm just saying I don't know. But potentially, why don't you look at something like NAD+? It's on there, actually, that particular one. There's a website called nadplusathome.com. That's where I buy mine. That's where I send all my patients, because there's something very good about the production quality of that particular product compared to a lot of other ones in the market. So why don't you look at something like that? Don't go overboard. Don't start to think more is better. It's not necessarily the case. But have a look at something along those lines and see if that starts to help. You can also look at injectable glutathione. Same company, nadplusathome.com. They sell injectable glutathione. And one of the reasons you're having problems is because of the damage that's already been done. And some of that damage is going to be things like internal cell structures and oxidative stress, oxidative damage. Glutathione will help to repair the oxidative damage. And so they're two things I would suggest you start to look at and see how they potentially could help you. But thank you for the super chat. That's nice. So again, just to recap, this is what the super chats potentially could win you today. One of the testosterone propionate creams, subject to consultation, of course, and making sure it's okay for you. So let's get back to the comments. Shivani says, oh, I've lost a comment here, 1 second. Where did we get up to? There we go. Is a glycochemical peel for genetic dark skin around the eyes in Pakistani skin a good treatment option? It can be a good treatment option for anyone. It can also be a bad treatment option for anyone. There's so much more information than just the color of the skin that you need. Personally, I tend not to use peels anyway, because I think there's more advanced things that do a better result with less risk. But it could be a good option. It depends on the individual presentation. I think there has been a super chat. Let's have a look. Let me get this. Yes, JJ. Let me get this up here. Super chat HUF. What's HUF? Is it Hungarian forints? I think it might be. Dermarolling the skin around my eyes often looks worse and more crepey afterwards. Is that normal? Using 0.5 once a week. Yes, you are damaging the skin, my friend. Eye skin does not need 0.5. In fact, in my video, I specifically say you have to use a very, very, very shallow depth around the eyes because of that reason. So go back and rewatch the video if you need. But also, this is why sometimes you do actually need to see someone. You can't just become an expert by watching a video on something. You do need to actually have a conversation for your individual clinical presentation, if possible. Let's just have a look where all the people are coming from. So we've got Hungary, Singapore, US, UK, amazing. Someone called Fit with Hannah. I recognise Fit with Hannah. I think you said you were a fan since I had 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate that. Big shout out to Fit with Hannah that's watching this. Stuck with me from 1,000 subscribers to almost 100,000 subscribers now. I'm so close to getting that silver plaque. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Listened to the last one for over 5 hours. Hope you're well, and thank you for all your valuable info. Thank you for coming, Hannah. Really appreciate support from people like yourself. So big shout out to you. Hope you're well. Make sure you finish a bit early. I mean, thank you. I love that. Thank you so much. But I doubt I am going to finish early. You know how long these go on for. Do you guys know of anyone who does lives until the questions are over? Or is it always generally just for a certain amount of time until they get tired? I'm very intrigued. Let me know. But yeah, thank you, Hannah. Thank you for that comment. And Sophie for that as well. AXA. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Apologies if I'm not. I'm actually starting to lose my throat a little bit already, because I've spoken all day, several days in a row, teaching. I'd love to come see for my skin concerns. Unfortunately, with all due respect, you're too expensive. Yes, I absolutely am. For most people, I would say. Could you kindly recommend someone else in London that you would recommend for skin issues? Someone else in London for skin issues. Depends what the issues are. I would recommend different people for different things. But absolutely, I'm expensive. You know, one of the reasons for that, you guys don't know because it's not something I've actually been interested in publicizing. But if you're interested, you know, I charge enough so that I can then take the money from that and then provide free treatment to other people. You know, people that are in dire situations. So I've actually got the ball rolling already to help victims of domestic violence who have, you know, physical wounds and things after abuse. And I'm going to be treating them for free. You know, there's no Patreon. I'm not going to accept any donations. I'm paying out of my own pocket. And, you know, I'm not going to be really doing any videos on it unless people really want to see. Because I'm not doing it for publicity. It's just something I want to do. And I can do that. I can afford to treat people for free because the charges are enough to cover the cost of those things. And that's one of the reasons. Another reason is, you know, sometimes it can cost like close to £1,000 an hour just to have a room, in London in certain places. That's before you've even bought stock or materials or did anything. Just to have the room is that much. So you have to make at least that just to break even. So yeah, I apologise if it's out of people's price range. However, that's my cost as well, and I do that on purpose also, so I can afford to treat people for free if possible. I think we had another super chat. Let's have a look. People are saying, yeah, no one else does questions as long as me. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Beefy McBeefface just says, it's just you lol. Great. So a few super chats here. Thank you very much, guys. Free by Rob. Consult booked with you for 4th Jan. Brilliant. See you there. I hope you can help me with my skin issues. Absolutely, my friend. Of course I can. I'd love to. Best way to get the most out of the meeting is to basically have with you a pen and paper so that everything I say you can just jot down straight away, and then you don't have to try and remember things. You can implement it straight away. It's a simple thing, but so many people forget it. Please, if you do speak to me, bring a pen and paper. Just write down everything you can, if possible. Omega Exist from Singapore. The specs on Dermalux Flex is 10 to 40 joules on the website, but the Fluence and Style Pro from your interview, I think, is what it's meant to say, is higher. But you said the Dermalux is the best in class, so I'm confused. Yeah, so you have to look at the joules per square centimetre, which is potentially something different. So the Flex also has, it's from a company with medical licenses. That tells you something as well. You also have to look at the ability to dissipate heat, which talks about the lifespan and the longevity of the device, all these sorts of things. It's not just as simple as how many joules. There's far more to it than that. Dermalux Flex, Dermalux in general, I do genuinely still believe it's the world leader in terms of clinical grade LED devices. No one touches it. I've said that since 2018 or 19, I can't remember. I'm open to changing my mind if someone makes something better, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. If they do, full credit to them, full props. I'll admit that, and I will then say, okay, now I think this is the best. But right now, for me, there are two brands which I think are the best. One is Dermalux for the clinical grade. That doesn't mean anything clinical grade, but the clinical level devices. and Style Pro for the mask that they have. You can use either. Use absolutely whichever one you want. Let me go back to the normal comments. Oh, hang on, had another super chat. Matthew, thank you very much. Apologies if too specific. Is there any value in substances such as C60 and something interesting from Russia I read about called SKQ1 bromide? I personally don't feel as though there's going to be a massive benefit from C60. SKQ1 bromide, I don't know what that is. I've not looked into that, if I'm being completely honest, and I hold my hands up to say I can't answer it. However, C60 is a fatty acid, if I'm not mistaken. But also you get things like other carbon structures like Buckminster fullerene, like balls and different types of carbon structures, which I'll be talking about on my biochemistry course. I think C60 might be actually what you're referring to. But I don't think they're going to give you a huge noticeable benefit relative to just making great decisions about your diet and your lifestyle, which I know I'm sounding like a broken record when I say. But I would focus on that. Don't feel as though you have to then go for these niche supplements and minor things that people talk about and say might give you a good result, good benefit. Just focus on the basics, and then actually from that, you're not really going to get much of an increase in terms of your health and longevity from other things if you get the basics right anyway. So I wouldn't recommend you look at all those things. I would recommend just doing the basics, and if you do want extra things, look at extras which we know exist in human physiology. For example, NAD+ and glutathione. That's actually why I talk about it so much, because it's accepted by the body very easily, and the risk isn't from the molecule. The risk is from you maybe using too much and what you do with that, which is entirely different. So I would say focus on those things, and if you do want to go extra, look at things like NAD+ and glutathione, LED, etc., etc. That's going to be much, much better for you. And then again, if you are interested in NAD+, I don't want to plug it and sound boring, but my course is a week today in London, if you're interested. I'm going to have some good people coming down. I think potentially, depending on traffic and all those things, Richard Smith, UK's top nutritionist, might be there. Stephen Thomas, UK's top bloods expert, is hopefully going to be there as well. But we'll see. And anyone is welcome if you'd like to come and learn. Let me get back to the comments. Where were we? I think we got to read by Rob. Here we go. Graham Smith, audio is fine. Thank you very much. Safi, good to see you. Thank you very much. Anne, thank you for coming. Geneviève, if I've said that correctly, I hope I have. Let's see. Best tips for someone that wants gorgeous, youthful, glowing skin. Well, the basics are going to be, again, the diet and lifestyle. And then if you look at things like the testosterone propionate cream that I always go on about now, the LED treatments, the Synacos injectables, Dermarolling, making sure you got good vitamin D. If you want to look at bonuses like NAD+, the combination of all of that is actually going to be the best thing that you can do. And also, when someone's just commented, I think, have a cut-off time of 20 or 30 minutes for these. I mean, I will have a cut-off time for these lives, but I'm hesitant to try and do it because I know I'm expensive for you guys to see. That's not lost on me. Yeah, like I said, I do that so that I can have enough money to treat people for free in dire situations and do charity work. But also, in January, my school launches, which is obviously what this is pointing to, what I'm going to do is have the streams on YouTube. I'll probably be going on here for, let's say, about an hour, roughly speaking, maybe a little bit more. End the stream on here, and then go over to school and carry on for as long as people have questions. And that will be in the free one. There's no payment required at all. So you don't even have to give me your email, nothing. You just click the button and then it's there. Same thing. And it will be a YouTube live stream as well. You don't have to install any software. But I'll be doing that because I can give more information on school. Like if someone asks a really interesting question, I can then make a post about it the next day and put some links and say, do you know what, that's really good. Tomorrow I'm going to look out for this post. I'll put a bit more detail. I'll put some scientific papers. I'll put a purchase link of the one I use or whatever. And then people can get more out of a live stream. Because currently, I think one of the things I don't like about this setup is you have to trawl through the entire video to find the answer that you want or the key thing. If I can just do it, make posts for you afterwards, I think it's going to be much easier. But that's my goal. And I'm just looking left and right because I've lost my mouse on the screen again. There we go, it's come back. Super chat from Cyril. Let's have a look at this. Composition of the testosterone propionate. Yeah, it's 1%. It's a 1% cream, and then each pharmacy can use whatever carrier they prefer. It's literally as simple as that. Explorer. The chats are building up already. I can see this is definitely going to be another long one. Oh Christ, it's now dark outside. There was light, I think, when we started. Now it's completely dark. A lot of acne scars on my left and right cheek. What Dermarolling needle size do you recommend? Depends on the scars. Without seeing it, it's impossible to say with certainty. I'm going to guess somewhere in the range of like 0.5 ml to 1 ml, which is a big range, by the way, because the top end is double the bottom end. Any products from The Ordinary that could help me get rid of those scars? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say The Ordinary have a particular scar system at all, comprising of a set of products. Just good quality nutrition. Looking at getting like a good quality vitamin A, for instance, like in the form of Tretinoin, or from The Ordinary, the best or the strongest vitamin A, I'm going to guess might be the retinol. I think it's a 2% retinol. I can't remember. I did a review on it a while ago. Not a bad product at all. Absolutely fine. I'd probably look at something like that. Connor. Recommend somewhere in London or anywhere in the UK that we know to treat periorbs or hyperpigmentation in darker skinned people. Yeah, I mean, I do it quite a lot in London, but again, it's not cheap to see me. I would again recommend someone like Dr. Pratish, DrPratish on Instagram. He's excellent. He's on holiday at the minute. I'll be back in probably a few weeks, but he's great. I would also suggest someone called Yanis, Dr. Yanis. I'm not going to even say his surname because it's Greek and I'll probably butcher it, but his Instagram username I think is Anti-Wrinkle Clinic, all one word. He's a great guy, really fantastic clinician as well, very highly trained. You can look to someone like him as well. There are two in London that I would highly, highly recommend if possible. 3 M. I have a simple question. Why are you doing this? As in YouTube or the live stream, or answering specific questions, or be a bit more specific if you can, and maybe I can provide an answer. Jamil. When celebs and models have glass skin, how do they usually get that? What's their secret? Usually it's a massive wallet. That's the secret. If you have enough of a budget and you do enough things like LED, like Sunacos, laser, etc., you're going to get there. But the reason it's not something that people in general are going to, be able to plan is because people in general don't have the budget of big movie stars. And that's all it is. Laughing Lion. I think I've just had this question, just answered that. Safi, what is the NAD course? It's basically teaching you how to use NAD, what it is, what it does. Many people have in their family people with lots of diseases. Sometimes NAD works phenomenally well to the point where you're questioning, should we even be taking these drugs when this is starting to improve it much, much better? The improvement that people see in Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and dementia and neurodegenerative problems with NAD is extraordinary, but no one's teaching how it's done. And I know how those things are done. So I'm pointing the finger at myself and saying, why am I not sharing that? Why am I not giving it to people? Because the whole world is better off with the knowledge than without. I'm basically not really making anything on that, if I'm being frank, because of the several £1,000s for the cost of the venue and then people to help me run it and all these sorts of things. So that's what the course is for. Let's go to the next one. I thought we've got a super chat here. Cyril, thank you, my friend. Carnivore diet, 2 years, impaired folate cycle. Should I take TMG? Potentially you could. I would also have a look at a genetic test to see whether you have the MTHFR, methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase, and have a look based on that. And if you do, you want to look at, is it the 677, is it the 1298, which version is it? And is it homozygous, is it heterozygous? get some information, and then decide what you want to do after that. What I would suggest is you get the blood test, then you speak to a guy called Coach Stephen Thomas. YouTube channel is UK Carnivore. And then you have a chat with him, because he's the expert on bloods. He knows far more than I do as well. Like, I'm not even going to try and compete with his knowledge on bloods whatsoever. Stalker, what are your thoughts on microdosing on Accutane? Many celebrities are on it. No need. You know, if you just have the right diet and lifestyle, and you get your skin in a good position, you don't need to do that, frankly. Even if you microdose, like, it's a big load on the liver to try and process that amount of vitamin A, even if it's done infrequently. I don't personally recommend it, but I understand why people are doing it. And I don't recommend it because my patients don't need it. We correct the root cause, and that's all we need to think about, really. I think we've had another super chat. Safi. There we go. CA dollars. Where is CA dollars from? If anyone can type in the chat, let me know. Iodine and chromium intake is low. Should I supplement? Well, if the intake is low, doesn't mean you have to supplement. My intake of vitamin C is low, but I've got no deficiency. Supplementing is only if there's an actual symptom. What are your symptoms? What are you trying to treat? And if the problem you have is remedied by correcting the amount needed, temporary use of a supplement while you work on your diet to give you that naturally is absolutely fine. But by default, no, I wouldn't supplement anything by default. Omega exist. Can you see international patients in London? Yeah, absolutely. I'd say probably the vast majority of my patients are international. They fly in to see me. So yeah, definitely. Actually, I think it does depend on where they are, and there is an insurance thing depending on what we're doing and where they're from as well. So I might be speaking out of turn there. My assistant normally sorts all that out for me if we can't see someone for one particular reason, but it depends, sometimes on where they're coming from, and so we do have to think about insurance as well if possible. How can I improve my posture? I suffer from forward head, neck, and rounded shoulders and rounded back. What do you recommend? Any exercises? I would suggest you see an osteopath, who are basically specialists in musculoskeletal issues and disorders. And you'd be surprised at what they can do in as little as one session. I don't know, and I used to see one myself if I ever needed. He's unfortunately moved to Dubai. So he's not available now, but if I find another one in the UK, I'll be sure to recommend them. Feral Grandma. I was just talking to someone else in the chat. Let's have a look at this super chat from Nav. Thank you very much, Nav. A month ago, vitamin D was 23 nanograms per mil, even after getting a lot of sun in the summer. Standard vitamin D at 5k units, now at 25,000 IUs. I want to get back to 50. Do I increase slowly, or can I bring the dose up now? I would increase slowly and keep an eye on your blood levels, not just the vitamin D, but also things like calcium, and make sure that you are looking at things like K2, vitamin K2. Ideally, get that from your food, not your supplements. Make sure you eat enough fat with that comes with the meat. So the fat on the lamb, on the pork, on the beef, whatever your personal preference is. And if you're not getting enough K2 for whatever reason, then if you have to use a supplement, you have to use a supplement. But ideally, get it from food if possible. That's the way I would do it. Justin, thank you very much. $1. Is that Australian dollars? I think it is. Thank you very much for tuning in, Justin, from so far around the world. Let's have a look. Let me just go back to where I was in the comments. Here we go. Cool. Charmine. Skin specialists at dermatologists in London that are good for brown skin. I mean, I don't know any that specialise in brown skin, because I'm not sure that is a specialty. Depends what the issue is, not just what colour the skin is, I would say. And you probably need a little bit more information than that. Shivani, weights every day. On the days that I'm not, is it okay to do posture exercise and stretching and mobility work? Yeah, why not? And it's not really going to affect the hypertrophy of the muscles unless you start jogging long distances and running marathons for fun, I would say. Pharmacist, Nicola Adley, hello. Where are you calling from? Where are you tuning in from, I should say? Health. Do you think America will become healthy, or all these three-letter agencies will F up RFK Jr. plan under Trump admin? To be honest, I haven't really been paying attention. I know obviously Trump's won the election, but I haven't paid minute attention to what their policies are or anything like that, unfortunately, because I just, there's so much money involved in lobbying and doing all these sorts of things. I just think, are we wasting our time, And so if we work on educating people directly, that might be a better use of time. I don't know. So I have no idea, unfortunately, the answer to that question. Why does my mouse keep disappearing? Anyone got the new Mac Mini? Because I don't know. Tell me if you've got the same issue. There we go. Okay. AXA, how many sets a week for a beginner do you recommend? For a beginner, absolute novice, I would say 1 set per exercise, per session, is all you need to do. Then it's from Norfolk. Oh, brilliant. Okay. Norfolk is colloquially known as, I think, Turnipshire in the UK. I'm sure he's used to that. What percentage of benefits will we get from taking 1 gram of NMN a day compared to recommended Energy Plus at home injection? Absolutely no idea, because every single person is so different. I mean, one person might get double the benefit compared to the other because of their absorption through the digestive tract, their gut microbiome, all these sorts of things. So it's just impossible, absolutely impossible to say. Aging games. Oh yes, we did. So Lynn and I did an interview just now, recently. She is living in Gibraltar, I think. She has a Instagram account. I don't know if you're on YouTube as well, Lynn. I'm not sure. But The Aging Games, if you want to go look her up. And we did an interview talking about supplementation, and that'll be out whenever it's out. No idea, but you can see me talking about that soon if you want. So thank you for the invite, Lynn. That was really kind of you. Maybe we can do something else in the future. Ileana, want to express my gratitude for your informative and generous work in educating others. Thank you so much. Dedication, expertise. I truly appreciate your thoughtful insights to make such a difference. Thank you so much, Ileana. That really, really means a lot. And that's exactly what I do this for. I want to try and spread education like this for free, if possible. And if I can use it to earn a living from it, bonus. That's brilliant as well. I think we've got another super chat. Nav. Let's have a look. Coming back to my first question, following carnivore diet perfectly, only meat, salt and water, great. No dairy, no cheating, eating until I'm full but no improvement. You've also got to look at how much fat are you eating. Are you eating just the muscle meat? Is there enough fat in there? How much salt are you using? How much water? It's not as simple as just saying what it is that's going into your mouth. Context is key as well. But again, do look at those supplements if possible. Maybe you can try one. My advice would be to try it. If it's not helping, just leave it. If you do feel a benefit, consider maybe temporary use of that until you can look after yourself. That might be a good option as well. It might be that you need other types of meat to get other benefits as well. Maybe the meat you're having isn't fatty enough. I was speaking to some people in Australia, kids of a friend of mine, this morning. They eat mainly chicken, like at least probably about 2/3 I think they said was chicken, but there's really not any fat on there, and so you need that in order to have actual health improvement if possible. Let's have a look at the other super chats. Thank you so much for the super chats, by the way. Again, just to remind you, best super chat tonight is going to get one of these testosterone propionate and creams, subject to a consultation and knowing that it's safe and everything. If it's not safe, we'll just find an alternative and do something else for you instead. Is it possible to immediately start on Tretinoin without prior experience using retinoid? Currently, biggest issue is milia and boxcar acne. Good question, Justin. You can start Tretinoin if you've never used retinoid before, but you just got to be really slow. So it might be that you take a lower dose and you only start like 1 night a week, and that's it for like a month. And then you slowly add nights on, and then the second month you do 2 nights, the third month you do 3 nights, so you really long it out. You don't have to go that slow. A lot of people will do it much quicker, but if you've got the patience and you want to make sure you don't have too much of a reaction, that's a way you can do it if possible. Thank you for the super chat. Beef face. Terry here. I do ordinary squalane oil and cosmetic grade niacinamide powder, but it's very gritty. Any finer brands or mixing tips? It can be gritty if you put too much of the niacinamide powder. It's not gritty because of the ingredient, it's gritty because of how much, and that's it. I would simply say use a little bit less of the powder and you're not going to get that grittiness, because that powder from the Ordinary, I believe, is a 325 mesh, which is actually really fine. That's a great product. I've got nothing bad to say about it at all. But what you might find is you put too much in, and that's all it is. One of the reasons I was close to losing my voice in the first few streams is because I didn't give myself any water, because I didn't realize how long I'd be going for. So I've remedied that today. Got plenty of water and some electrolytes from the Keto Pro, ketopro.com, to keep me going. Hope that helps, Terry. Rageline, hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. Mouth is always dry. My face is bloated, even though I drink 3 liters of water. Sometimes you're bloated because you drink too much water, my friend. Cut down. Only drink water if you are feeling thirsty. The feeling of hunger, feeling of being full, super important if you think about it for our evolution. If we didn't feel hunger, we wouldn't have eaten and we would have died. If we didn't feel full, we would ever have stopped eating and then we'd have just died from eating too much constantly. So they're crucial to keep us alive. But it's the same, not just for food, for water. Feeling thirsty is what you've got to listen to. I never in my life followed the advice of 2 liters a day. Even when I was a child, I thought that's ridiculous. I thought if you're constantly urinating, even as a child, I thought if you drink a lot and then urinate a lot, and I noticed my urine was coming out clear. Honestly, I must have been less than 10 years old when I thought about this. I noticed my urine was clear when I drank a load of water. I thought, well, that must be the water coming out, so what's the point of drinking more? And no one ever managed to convince me that you have to drink 2 liters a day, and I still don't. I drink some water to satisfy my thirst when I am feeling thirsty, and that's it. And when you have too much water, your cells are damaged. Water moves down the water potential gradient. This is one of the things I'll be talking about in my biochemistry course. My biochemistry course is out, by the way, completely free. The bit on YouTube anyway. That is, the first lesson came out today, a few hours ago, if anyone is interested. But what happens is water, when there's too much in your diet from drinking too much, when it goes into the cell essentially kind of bursts through a process called lysis, Lysis, and that's not good. Okay, so no wonder you feel bloated. Really cut that down. You should never be drinking 3 liters a day. Well, actually, I say never. And there are extreme circumstances. If you're losing water for some reason, like massive diarrhea, fine. You may need to replace the lost water, but I don't think you've got massive diarrhea every day of your life. So 3 liters every day is not good. Nav 8 only beef ribeyes 75/25 and 70/30 ground beef. 75/25 and 70/30. Why is it 2? But anyway, all cooked in tallow, salt a little bit. That's great. You've got to make sure there's enough fat on there, and that's crucial. But that's a good diet, If you're happy with that and you're able to maintain it, even better. Great stuff. Connor, jawline injector. I think I answered this previously. Health. Why are there so much vegan propaganda in our society? How to fight it? It's a great question. I think part of the reason is they shout very loud, and you find sometimes it's not the majority that get what they want, it's the loudest. Is it something to do with that? I'm not saying I know the answer, but I'm asking the question, is it something to do with that? Possibly. I don't know, but I think that could be it. Because you look at, vegans who are very, very strict vegan, and you find there are some who end up, this isn't the right word, but I can't think of a better word right now, so take it with a pinch of salt, but no pun intended. But you look at sort of almost militant vegans who really try and enforce their views and go to protests about animal cruelty and all these sorts of things. That's a pretty loud thing to do, shall we say. Whereas you look at people that are strict carnivore, they don't go around shouting and telling everyone else to be strict carnivore, as far as I can work out. And so I think it's to do with the loudness, the volume, simply. G. Any opinion on the new FDA-approved Emrosi? I have vascular rosacea, several IPL, BBL, and I'm on metronidazole. Has helped a lot, but now I'm in an active phase, looking at food triggers. It's not easy to look at food triggers. There's no point taking a food out and saying, is it better or not? Because many different foods have the same trigger in them. So if you take out bread, but then you still got pasta, you might think bread isn't an issue because it's still there. And then you take pasta out, and you might think pasta's not an issue because it's still there. But they both contain lectins. And it could be the lectins are the issue. So until you take all lectins out of the diet, how will you know whether it's that or not? So actually, the everyday person looking at food triggers, the only way really to do it is an elimination diet, and then see for yourself. So I would suggest, if you're going to do that, if you're really interested in looking at food triggers, go into an elimination diet, like how, say, Jordan Peterson did, and then work backwards from there. That's definitely my advice. We've got a super chat here. Safi, thank you very much, Safi. What to apply and avoid right after dermarolling? Depends on the individual. You don't have to actually apply anything. I don't put anything on because it's the mechanical stimulation you're after. So what if you get an increased penetration in that particular instant for that particular ingredient? Who cares? You know, the next day is just going to be put on as normal, rubbed on the skin. So what long-term effect is one increased episode of penetration going to do for your life? Nothing, frankly. So don't fall into the trap of assuming you have to apply something after dermarolling at all. Oh, God, I think I'm very tired today. If someone was only eating whole/real foods like meat, chicken, fish, veggies, fruit, nuts, would you still tell them to correct their diet? Yeah, absolutely. Who cares if it's a whole food or not? Is it the right whole food? Whole food just means it's intact, really. It's not really been processed very much. So what? It's which whole food? Is it species appropriate whole food? That's the key. That's what I would suggest people look at. Laughing line. What results are your patients seeing? What results are you seeing? Are you completely sold on it? Yeah, in terms of testosterone cream. So we've had no instances of side effects, partly because I'm not giving it to anyone with skin conditions. So if someone has acne, theoretically you can make the acne worse. So no one has been given it if they have any condition, not just acne. And we've had no flares or unexpected skin conditions arise as a result, literally zero. We are seeing people get improvements in skin quality like texture and wrinkles and things like that. And we find now with more people, it's taking roughly sort of 3 to 5 months-ish, depending on the quality of the skin to start with, the amount of damage we're trying to repair in the first place. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does require the full kind of 6 months for people to start to notice the effect. And people have to remember, this is a really low concentration. Like, that's a 1%. In the testosterone world, that's basically nothing. Like, there's not a lot there at all. So to use almost none, it is going to take time to see a result. But also to use almost none, you get that safety aspect. There are several patients who are on systemic testosterone replacement, or HRT, and they have to regularly get blood tests, which is an interesting patient to treat, because if they're already on that and they've already got their regular blood levels, and then we give them this, we can see the blood levels don't change of testosterone, and that's across the board. Again, completely in line with the study, which is nice to see. I am sold on it. Like I said, that is actually mine, personal one, and I'm not using anything else now at all. Let's have a look. Adam, in some of your skin transformation videos, patients on expensive skincare products. Potentially. Can cheaper products give the same results? any ingredient, as long as it's a good ingredient, can give the result. Your skin cell is not going to respond to how much the ingredient cost. Your skin cell has no idea how much something costs when it interacts with the cell. Your skin cell will just know the receptor interaction, and that's it. So expensive ingredients and cheap ingredients can give results. It's how are they used, what are they used in combination with, what is the clinical presentation, that's much more important, for sure. Can't afford NAD plus home, too expensive. If I take NMN 1 gram a day, is that a very good alternative? Will I still get some of the benefits? Again, impossible to say, because I don't know how much you're going to absorb, because I don't know what your gut bacteria is, what your metabolic status is, etc., etc. There's so many variables. Theoretically, you may get similar benefits. Will you? Impossible to predict. Absolutely impossible to predict. Let's have a look at this one. Best ways to have amazing skin outside of diet and lifestyle. Can you please get specific? Treatments. I mean, there's a lot of treatments available, but which one is right for you? I mean, a certain laser might be great for you, but terrible for someone else. Again, skincare products. I mean, just what is your skin, right? What does it look like? What's your problem? The same skincare product for you will be terrible for someone else. So it's impossible to just say universal products. I think that would help anyone, I'm afraid. I think we've got a super chat here. Omega. If you don't get sunburns on carnivore diet, does that mean you're safe from photo aging without sunscreen, even when outdoors for long hours? I think potentially. I mean, I don't wear sun cream anymore on this diet, and I never burn. When I did wear sun cream, when I was on a standard Western diet, even with sun cream, I used to burn. Now I don't at all, very interestingly. So there's not been a study on it, so I can't give you evidence. But my personal feeling, and it is just a feeling or an opinion, is you are safe from photo aging, personally. But again, it is just my individual personal opinion, and that is all. Let's have a look. For Indian skin, what's the best way to get rid of genetic dark circles around the eye? No specific thing just for Indian skin. You can treat dark circles the same. I personally tend to use Sunacos a lot, and then diet and lifestyle at the same time. If your diet is creating a lot of inflammation for you in general in the body, I mean, how much is anything going to work? And so when you look at an Indian diet, which has, a lot of carbs in there, a lot of vegetarian things, a lot of vegan things, and no wonder the country has a ridiculous rate of diabetes and pre-diabetes combined, of being overweight, of some kind of obesity. And so if you're coming from that kind of background, first thing I would ask is, what are you actually eating? And then go from there. That's going to be more important than whatever treatment, because your treatment isn't going to work if there's too much inflammation. It's just going to come back. That's the best first step, to really pay attention to the diet and forget what your family may have been eating, your parents and your grandparents, and focus more on what is the actual biochemistry of human physiology. Does jawline filler help with very modest jowls? If it's very, very modest, potentially you're going to get a better benefit from things like cheek, to just try and lift everything up. But there's a limit, because you can't just keep injecting cheek. Your face is going to be ridiculously wide and you'll look ridiculous. So it depends on the individual. Some jawline filler, maybe at the back and the front or something, just to stretch it a bit, may help. But again, impossible to give a specific answer without seeing your face specifically. And I have a podcast coming with a cosmetic doctor in London where we sat down and discussed the way we work, saw some videos of treatments that he had done, and we talked through why certain decisions were made of where to inject and what to inject and all these sorts of things. It was a really, really interesting discussion. I think it's going to be quite a good, popular podcast for people interested in cosmetic procedures. Because when you go and get a cosmetic procedure, all you really know is a conversation and the needle going in. You don't know what's actually happening inside the person's head to make the decision for you of what to do. But this podcast is all about that, what is going on in their head. So that will be out, I suspect, it is the end of November now. I'm going to guess next month or January, roughly speaking. Can you quickly outline AM and PM skincare routine for anti-aging and glowing, beautiful skin? However, please, without retinol and tretinoin. No, I can't, because everyone is entirely different. Connor, is it possible to have great skin with cheap skincare products? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't really use, that's my entire skin routine. I don't use anything else. Typically, my patients, or the patients that listen to me, we either go for tretinoin or the testosterone propionate, or if they want to use both, we find a way to use both, and that's it. The products themselves aren't cheap, but when you consider the fact that you are not buying anything else, the overall net spend is actually much less, and that's what people don't realize. Yes, they aren't cheap at all, individually, not at all, but because you don't buy anything else, you are actually spending less overall, and that's the point. Please do put a Q in front of the question. Again, I think I've missed a few because there's no Q behind, so just remember that if possible. And let me find my mouse again. Here we go. Let's have a look. What can I expect when I start using the testosterone cream for the face? Nothing initially. Takes a while for it to actually start to have an effect. Like I said, I think most people are looking around. I think now, you say 2 to 4 months, but most people, the average now, I think, is about 3 to 5 months to start to notice that good effect. Once they're a little bit regular with it. Once you fix eye hypopigmentation, how can you maintain it? So the first thing is maintaining that low inflammation level, if you can, which is diet. Making sure that you're good quality skincare, if possible, to try and make sure the skin is fed with the right nutrients all the time. Depending on your diet, we would look at sun cream as well. And they're probably the biggest things. You could go on, make a massive list. I'm sure there's other things I've missed, but as a rough guide, there are some basic boxes to tick. I don't use Profilo at all. Or the fillers for augmentation too, for example, lip augmentation. Yeah, I do use fillers. The only injectables I really use are fillers, toxin, or Botox, if you like, if you want to call it that, and skin quality, which is Sunakos. That's it, you know. Fillers, the brand I use is Revanesse from a company called Prolenium, based in Canada. Sunakos, and the toxin that I use, the botulinum toxin. I know you all say Botox, but that Botox is a brand. The brand I use is called Nuceiva. It's a toxin brand, toxin type A, 100% the best one I've ever used. They're really the only things I need. Other than that, I get patients to do as much as they can at home. I'm not interested in rinsing them for all the money they have. If they can do more at home, it makes my life easier in clinic. I'm not trying to sell. Most of my treatment plans aren't big. They usually include a load of education, so they don't need to see me very much. If patients want to, and they've got the budget, fine, we can make a plan for that. Most patients don't need to, because of the way that I want to educate them to not need me, and only want me if desired in terms of budget, but they shouldn't need me as an essential if possible. So let's have a look. Do please put the Q again in front of the question. I think you're all starting to do that now. That's good. Should mean I'm less likely to miss things. Cornelius Lacroix, should I still use Tret if using Test Prop 1%? You can do if you wish. If you're going to do that, I would use a Test Prop cream in the morning and a Tretinoin in the evening, or if you want, just use this morning and evening, and then Tretinoin alternate nights. Either or. I'm probably going to change the combination protocol, because there is one on the website. I need some water. Give me 1 second. I'm probably going to change the protocol on the website if people do want to use it as morning and evening instead of the Tretinoin and alternative evenings, if possible. Just want to do a shout out, by the way. I think a live stream is happening right now on YouTube for Coach Stephen Thomas. Let me have a look. Yes, it is. I'm going to get that up on the other screen here, just to have a watch at the same time. Great guys. If anyone is interested in watching them, Stephen and Richard, they are live now. So shout out to them. Hello to them if they watch this back. Let's have a look here. Super chats here from Omega. Have you done an intracellular NAD test? No. Is there a study with reference to optimal levels? No. Impossible. If you want to see truly how much NAD is in a cell, you've got to break the cell open, which means it's no longer alive. So you don't know what the functional level is. You just know how much it was when you broke the cell open. So it's useless, absolutely useless. And in terms of age, you can't get people different ages but exactly the same diet and lifestyle to actually compare. It's impossible. You can get a rough idea and guess, but there's no actual measurement or calculation involved, I would say. Let's have a look here. Jeff, thank you for your time and knowledge. You're very welcome, Jeff. Let me know where you're from, if possible. Let me just get rid of some spam here. Why is that not working? Oh, hang on. There we go. Someone was advertising eating a dog in the chat. I don't know why. Let's have a look. Yeah, I can recommend an affordable and silicone injector to anyone in the UK apart from London. Apart from London, there is a guy. Let me just check it on here. I mean, you can go to Scotland. There's NY Skin Clinic in Scotland. Elaine Wood. She's very, very good. I'd definitely recommend her as well. Let's have a look here. Is normal supermarket milk fine to drink? Just regular, normal Tesco whole milk. Tesco is a supermarket in the UK for those watching from abroad, by the way. I think so. If you take it and you've got problems, then just stop. And that's the best way to go about it, in my personal opinion. It doesn't have to be raw. I personally am not an expert in the pros and cons of raw versus non-raw. Not the best person to ask. There are people who are more specialised in that to ask. How can someone have a permanent glow? You shouldn't want a permanent glow because that means it's inflamed. So if you want a permanent glow, get Mike Tyson to slap you in the face all the time. That's going to give you a permanent glow. Otherwise, we're not designed to do that. What's the point? Will Dermarolling help laxity in skin over 70? Do you know if we can get your testosterone facial cream in Canada? I think potentially, yeah, in Canada. That's absolutely fine. In fact, I know people in Canada that have it already. Dermarolling, yeah, it can definitely help you over 70 as well. I think the oldest patient I've ever treated with microneedling, I think was 92. I might be wrong. 90 something at least. So definitely can help if you're much older. So let's have a look here. Could you kindly recommend skilled Sunakos injectors in Switzerland? I would say if you email a company called Aesthetic Med, aesthetic with an E, I think it's aestheticmed.ch. Let me just see if I can, whoops. Yeah, aesthetic, ESTHETIC, med.ch. They have the distributorship in Switzerland. So if you send them an email and just say, hey, look, saw Dr. Trapp's videos and I want this treatment. This is where I live. Can you tell me someone that was trained by him near this place that I can see? And they'll definitely help you out. Jeff, been using Dermarolling and Canadian red light on the face, working good so far. Great stuff. Yeah, can do. Red light therapy is great. Dermarolling is great. If you combine that with good quality skincare as well, I think you'll get even more results. Absolutely. But glad it's helping. In fact, Jeff is a good example of someone that has taken my advice of not spending ridiculous amounts of money and still getting good results. That's what the channel is about when it comes to those kind of things. Not wanting to give in to companies and brands that advertise to make you think you've got to spend loads and loads of money on stuff. You don't have to at all. Does not getting enough sunlight lead to acne? Does vitamin D supplements make up for it? How much do you need in a day? I think not getting enough sunlight could be one possible factor that leads to all sorts of problems in the body, such as but not limited to acne. Supplements, I personally don't think you're going to get the exact same benefit in a supplement as getting it naturally. That's my personal view, that's all. How much do you need in a day? Great question. I don't think no one knows the exact answer to that at all, unfortunately. I'm finding, darker skinned patients in the UK, and when I tend to put them on like 10,000, something like that, they start to get a lot better. But obviously, it depends on the individual. But that's, specific skin types and specific locations, as I guess is going to give you a different answer as well. Let's have a look here. I think I've scrolled through some of these. Jamil. There are 40-year-olds that have 0 wrinkles, no volume loss, but you can tell they are 40. You see their pics at 20, you can tell they were 20. Yeah, because there's also facial contours, the amount of fat they're holding. You see the neck as well. You see the amount of teeth that are on show when they're speaking. You look at someone who is, let's say, 10 or 20. Like, for example, if you look at myself on camera now, when I'm speaking, you can see the bottom of these teeth. Yeah. When you look at someone who's very, very old, it's probably going to be more like this. You can see the lower teeth, like that. And that immediately makes someone look a lot older. So it's not just about the skin. There's a whole lot more going on than just that. Let's have a look here. Jennifer, I don't know if I'm saying that right. McRae or McRae, I'm not sure. How often should microneedling be microneedling professionally for optimal results in the lines, wrinkles, scarring? I also use anti-age duo growth factor products. Bin the anti-age, not needed at all. Bin the professional microneedling as well. Why pay a professional triple figures when you can spend double figures on Amazon and do it yourself with much less risk? The result isn't going to be worse either. Been doing it for 12 years with my patients, and it's been absolutely fantastic. And if you do it with that Dermarolling, you can go once a week, for a certain number of weeks, depending on you as an individual. We say results from using a Derma pen once a month versus Dermarolling once a week are very similar. I'd say a roller is probably going to be better, because a Derma pen is going to be a much higher risk in terms of much more penetration into the skin, so much higher inflammation level as well. So I personally feel a roller is going to be better results than anything else, I would say. Guillermo is from Brazil. Fantastic. What's your opinion on Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser, only sunscreen on face? I think that's an absolutely perfectly normal cleanser. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I know some people use it to, I think they use it as like a shaving gel, actually. I've never tried it, but I don't shave, I just trim. But it's fine. Nothing wrong with that at all, I would say. Let's have a look here. Someone that wants amazing skin, you recommend strong laser 1 to 2 times a year like Halo, or less harsh laser like a Clear and Brilliant, maybe 6 times a year. I would probably recommend something like a BBL. And BBL you can probably do twice a year, and then Halo maybe once every 2 years, something like that. You should not want to do something like that many times a year at all. Matthew, if hyaluronidase does cause tissue damage, would a course of Synacos prior after be useful? Not necessarily, because a hyaluronidase isn't. I don't think it's going to cause a huge amount of damage. The damage has already been done. The hyalase is just revealing it. That's a strong view that is now becoming more and more popular in the industry, in the field. So whether you do Synacos before or after or not, I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference if the damage has already been done. But it's also not going to harm you. So you can try it and see how you feel, for sure. So that was full of meat, fish, chicken, veggies, and fruit. Would you say diet is good? No, I wouldn't. Or would I come under someone who needs to fix my diet and lifestyle? I'd say someone that needs to fix it. There's no requirement for fructose in human physiology whatsoever. So there's no requirement to eat fruit whatsoever. There's no requirement for fiber in the human diet whatsoever. So you don't need that at all. All the anti-nutrients that you get in fruit and veg, especially veg, there's zero requirement for that in the human diet. absolutely zero. We are now, I believe, well over the 1 hour mark. We're on hour and 15. Oh. Let's carry on. How does testosterone act on the skin to achieve results? Good question. What are its pharmacological properties? What is the cream's base and testosterone concentration? Concentration is 1% and it's an aqueous cream, so that's pretty easy to answer. Acts on the skin using things like androgen receptors, and then that changes basically what the cell is doing in simple terms. In terms of pharmacology, yeah, it goes through those androgen receptors, and then that can have an effect on things like the output of the cell and the function of the cell. Again, without going into ridiculous levels of detail. I've lost my mouse again. Let me get this mouse back. There we go. There we go. Oh, we've got a super chat. Let's have a look here. Thank you very much from Hellosies. I remember that name. CA $2. Where is CA from? I'm not sure where that is. But anyway, opinion on layering tretinoin with hydrating cream. As in to try and control the reactions, I guess. It's fine. It's reasonable. I would probably suggest you'd be better off, or at least as good, with something like squalane oil, as opposed to cream, because the cream's ability to penetrate, you've got a question, and what else is in there. Whereas if you use something like squalane oil, which is just pure, there's no additives, there's no preservatives, all these sort of things, and it's going to trap the water inside the skin perfectly well. That's probably what I would do instead, personally. I think we've got another super chat here. Dave Jenkins, thank you very much, Dave. Very kind of you. From the UK, I think. What effects does a carnivore diet have on lipid profile? Lipid profile in terms of a blood test, I'm guessing. It depends on the individual again for the exact change, but we are seeing people report much higher cholesterol levels, which is great. My cholesterol is super high. I'm very happy about that. And I think triglycerides are going to be multifactorial, not just based on whether you're eating. For example, if you're losing weight, you might expect the triglycerides to go up, and that's perfectly fine because you're burning that fat and it's going to be transported. Other than that, I don't think there's anything major to report. You know, people may have a better ratio of triglycerides to HDL or HDL to triglycerides, but again, I think that's just a statistical association of anything, and I don't think you need to aim for that. You need to just aim to eat the right thing, and then everything else should be good after that, in my view. Hope that helps. Let me get back to wherever I was in the comments. Here we go, Sham. Yes, thank you for putting Q in the question, Sham. If everyone could remember to do that, I'm more likely to not miss the question. Would you restrict food in a carnivore diet to lose fat? No, I would not. Twice a day, as that's when I'm hungry. No problem. Trying to gain muscle. Cool. 8-day split, 3-to-1. 8-day split, 3-to-1 full body to hit as per your video. Cool. That's good. If you get hungry twice a day, eat twice a day. But it's not about eating when you're hungry. It's about eating until you're full as well. So make sure that you eat so much that you just absolutely don't want anything else anymore, if possible. So try and do that. Carnivore diet is, you shouldn't aim to lose fat. You should aim to normalize your body composition. So have an appropriate level of bone density, or bone mass, of muscle mass, and fat mass as well. You don't just want to lose fat for no reason. Now, if you're bodybuilding and you need very low body fat, which is not healthy, by the way, but it's for that particular purpose temporarily, I don't think it's going to have a long-term impact. But for the average everyday person, you should aim to optimize the balance between all three. And you should also aim to look at the location of that fat. It's not about how much. Is it under the skin where it's meant to be, or is it on the liver, for example, on the organs, visceral fat, which is so bad for you. You want to aim to lose organ fat or visceral fat if you're going to lose anything, and then maintain it just under the skin in an appropriate amount if possible. Let's have a look. On a carnivore diet, are seasonings like herb butter or lemon juice allowed? Of course they're allowed. What guidelines apply for such flavor enhancers or side items? I mean, look, you can have whatever you want. No one's going to tell you off. I'm not going to tell you off. I've got patients on carnivore that do occasionally have a bit of coffee, or have a bit of seasoning, or have an ice cream with their kids on a day out, so they can take a photo together eating ice cream or something. There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, like, your happiness is more important than whether you tick this box of eating this and not eating that. And so, we tend to define carnivore in the community as at least 70% of what you eat as being meat or animal products, shall we say, which is actually quite a decent amount left over, 30%. So if you want to have something like that, go for it. Entirely up to you. Electrolytes you recommend Keto Pro tastes too salty. It's meant to taste salty and have too much sodium. Nope, it has a good amount of sodium for a regular person that is an athlete. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete. If you are a human being, you need a certain ratio of electrolytes. If it doesn't taste salty, then you're wasting your time. The point of electrolytes is to replenish electrolytes, and that includes sodium. So if it tastes salty, that's correct. End of discussion. If it doesn't taste salty, you're wasting your time. That's it. If you're doing it for taste rather than function, you're probably not right for carnivore anyway. You need to. That might be a bit harsh, but if you're doing things simply for taste, are you just having ice cream all the time? You need to commit to something to actually have some kind of benefit. And if it tastes salty, so that's why you're not going to have electrolytes. I mean, that's just the most useless thing ever. That's like saying I'm eating salt, but it tastes too salty. Well, why are you eating salt then? Electrolytes basically are salt. It's got sodium and chloride as well as other things. So you're eating salt. Of course, it's going to taste salty. Not a good view to have, I would say. Terry is a community support officer, moderator. So just what? Cheers, Terry. Safi, what do you think about spirulina and chlorella as a daily supplement to get more greens? Why would you want more greens? The specific requirement for greens in the human diet is 0. So absolutely not. I would do the opposite and not have them at all. What's the best treatment for thread veins on the face? There are things which are almost a little bit like, there's something called Thermavane. Is that what it's called? There's quite a few different options, and actually different options are right for different people. So you could look at something like Thermavane. You could look at something like vascular lasers as well. That's another option. Have a look at both. Find a clinic that does both and have a discussion about which one might be right for you and which one might not be. Let's have a look. I think some of these questions have come up more than twice. I'll ignore. In the middle of Texas. It must be boiling. And it's freezing here in the UK, unfortunately. Oh, we've had a super chat. I've missed that for some reason. Here we go. Solution, Canadian dollars. Solution for open pores around nose area. Tretinoin. I think she's asking Tretinoin question mark. I mean, look, you can't get rid of pores. You can minimize their appearance. That's something else. You can't get rid of a pore. A pore is there for a reason. It's meant to be there. Things go in and out of the skin like gases. You have to have it. Like, you'd have serious problems if you got rid of them. If they're open, then they need to be open, like to cope. You shouldn't try and close it when it's needing to be open. Just getting good quality nutrition into the skin is the best thing you can do to normalize everything. So yeah, you can use Tretinoin. You can use, it's a good source of vitamin A, and getting that in there is not a bad shout whatsoever to try and improve skin health. Let's have a look. Can you provide us some more details on the school community? I'm so excited. I can't wait to join. Would be a pleasure to have you, Adam. It's starting in January. There is going to be a free one as well. So these streams, like I said, they're going to start on here when I carry on doing them in January, and then they're going to move over to the free school. So all you do is click the link and you just carry on. You don't have to pay anything, you don't have to sign up, nothing. But then in the paid, we're going to have a lot more teaching about all the sort of things that you see in here and more. And we're going to have live classroom teaching, and then people can request topics. So if a lot of people say, how do we properly use this cream, like Tretinoin or something, we'll have a session where we just go through that and we look at all the different issues. We can even have people in the hot seat on the call, and everyone else just watches how I consult that patient, how we make a plan for that particular skin or teeth or disease or something along those lines. We can have a look at, people can request devices like LED devices, and I'll just share my screen. I'll go on the website, review how these things work and what I think of them live, so people can have a look. All sorts of things, and it's very community led. Like, I want people to request what they want to learn, and then go from there if possible. Let's have a look at this. Looks like an interesting question. How many forms of cross-linking exist, and why BDD ether is not healthy, and what could be the right concentration of cross-linked of a HA in 1 ml filler? So you can use BDDE, you can use PEGDE, polyethylene glycol diglycidyl ether as well. They're basically the two main ones that we have right now in the dermal filler world. In terms of how much cross-linking, that is dependent on how you process the hyaluronic acid chains. I am teaching a course on hyaluronic acid, I think, in January. Let me just check the date of that. January 12th, if all goes according to plan. And we're going to look at things like cross-linking. Does that answer the question? Why BDD is not healthy? Yeah, it's not healthy because of the way it is as a molecule. So it has these electronegative oxygens, and they can cross-link other things in there. It's not just hyaluronic acid. When we have things like AGEs in the skin, AGEs, advanced glycation end products, one of the reasons they're a problem is because they can cross-link other things together and reduce protein function. This is why we get damage from very electronegative oxygens in different molecules. It's a little bit technical, but again, my biochemistry course, which launched today, lesson 1 is out there. Anyone can just go and watch it. There is going to be an episode on glucose glycation and how glycation actually happens, which will completely give you a huge new perspective on carbohydrates and how they actually cause damage. People say glucose is toxic. You don't want glycative damage. Fine. However, how does glycative damage actually physically happen? I personally have not seen anyone properly explain it in the way that I have, in that level of detail, atomic level of detail. But you watch that and you'll understand the problems with BDDE at the same time. Let's have a look. What else have we got here? Renzo. Also, ain't about going carnivore, it's about the quality of the meat. Seek out a local farmer, grass-fed meat, etc. Yeah, I completely agree. I think, for me personally, going carnivore is also about making sure we look after the quality of the soil in the earth. And if we have animals that are able to, to poop on the ground and replenish that or carry on that nitrogen cycle, we stand a much better chance of making sure the quality of the soil is not affected over time, because topsoil amount is reducing all the time, all around the world. It doesn't come back if just by itself with you doing nothing. You have to actively manage it properly. And regenerative farming, nutrition farming, it's a skill, and if you support farmers that do that, I think the quality of food will slowly increase over time. The quality of how we look after the earth will increase over time. Let's have a look. Fit with Hannah. Oh yes, I read this out over before. And Hannah, massive shout out to you. Thank you so much. I know there's a few people actually that have been with me from the very, very beginning of this channel, when I had like 1,000 subscribers or less. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Hannah, if we ever have a course that you want to attend like this one here, just email and we'll sort you out. People like yourself who have supported me for so long, I'm very happy to help out. Hannah to Anna from New York. So we've got people all the way from America and Australia. Wow. Thank you very much. Let's have a look. Some of these I've read already. I don't want to take any steroids or anything, but are there any ways to speed up muscle hypertrophy? I want to build muscle faster. There's no point trying to speed it up. Your body will take care of itself, and you should not, obviously you said you don't want to take steroids, that's good. Other people should follow suit in that. But your body does not create ridiculous amounts of muscle for no reason. It has to. Imagine, for instance, you put a massive engine in a car. You might think, okay, that's going to go really fast now. But if you don't also upgrade the brakes to deal with slowing down that momentum, the gearbox to try and distribute that much power, the wheels to cope with that amount of torque, etc., 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 you're going to have a disaster. And it's the same thing with the human body. You can't just make massive muscles and everything else still be the same, because everything has to grow together to feed and the function all together. So you should not want, I know visually you would probably love to look ripped very quickly, but for the sake of your health, trust me, you don't want rapid muscle growth where everything else is playing catch up. Not at all. Not at all. Let's have a look here. Apart from laser, best products for PIE marks, have a look at something like Cyton BBL. That does help with erythema as well. And then continued LED therapy also can help. AE, here's an interesting question. What smart ring / smartwatch would you recommend? Well, the smart ring that I have here is the Ultra Human M1 ring. I have tried the Aura before. I wasn't a fan of the Aura. I don't like it, to be honest. I think this one's much better because it can link to a glucose monitor if you're someone that needs a glucose monitor for some reason. But you know what? It doesn't matter which ring you're using. It matters, are you going to pay attention to the data that it gives you? That's what matters. There's so many different glucose monitors. I got the most basic one for my dad, and it does a job. He's using it to see what is happening. He's using it to understand he does have a glucose problem. It's useful in that respect. And so paying attention to it is more important. Personally, I would say get the cheapest one and then just go with that. I mean, this Whoop that I've had for many years, I'd probably go with that instead of a ring. The reason I have so many is because I need to be able to speak to my patients about them in terms of how they work and what my experience is like. And so clinically, there's a requirement for me to have used them all so I can actually talk about what they like to use for my patients. That's all. Sophie, I think this is from when I asked what most people on YouTube do in terms of Q&A. Most don't get through all the questions. Okay, I know a few who do, but do it around 1.5 hours, but answer the Q's only rather than go through every comment. They may summarize the rest, e.g. hellos, etc. Okay, that's how most... See, I don't pay attention to what other people do on YouTube. I literally just do my own thing. I rarely watch other people's stuff. The only people I would watch really are people like Stephen Thomas, Richard Smith, who else in this space, Anthony Chafee, Bart Kay. That's probably it. I don't really pay attention to anyone else. Occasionally I'll watch Nick Norwood. I like Nick. Don't always agree with everything Nick says, but I don't think he would have a problem with that. I think he's a phenomenal guy. He's really bringing attention to health, which I really, really credit him for. I tried to get Nick for a podcast, actually, and he was up for it. But we're going to delay it to next year. I'm actually going to try and fly him out to London, but he's going to be in London anyway next year. So we're going to meet up and do a really long podcast. By that point, hopefully my channel's crossed 100K. He's recently just crossed 100K. And hopefully we'll boost each other's channels at the same time when he's here. Jay Ramos purchased a prop unit last week and forced to. Oh, Jimmy. How you doing, Jimmy? Yeah, it'll be with you soon. Fit with Hannah. By the way, I'd love to know why you're not a fan of Sculptra, and then your thoughts on Revelax. Yeah, good question, Hannah. Sculptra is an injectable product that, as far as I'm aware, and I've seen, creates type 1 and 3 collagen. Fine. But I want more than just that. and Sculptra doesn't really do that, which is why I'm not a fan. Why would I want just 1 and 3 when I can have multiple other types at the same time? And Sculptra, I see that as something that is working really by irritation and inflammation, hence why it's making mainly just type 1 with a bit of 3 that converts into type 1. Whereas Synacos doesn't work by inflammation. In fact, Synacos reduces inflammation specifically. So that's why I don't like using Sculptra. Revelax, I think the BDDE content for me is just a little bit too high. I'm not a fan of that. It's so difficult to dissolve as well, so it's not something I have any interest in using. I've tried it in the past just to see what it's like, and I'm not taken by it. I don't like the chemistry whatsoever. I know it's very popular, but being popular I don't think means that it's very good. It just means it's popular. In terms of the chemistry, I would always recommend Revenus as the top filler for me. Again, I'm open, just like with LED, I'm open to changing my mind if someone makes something new. I've not seen anything else that is that good though, personally. Hope that helps. Kelvin, hope everyone is well. Thank you very much for joining us, Kelvin. Feral Grandma. I'll mention this before. Mary in New Zealand. How long after sun exposure does it take for vitamin D to be synthesized in the skin? If you shower within that time frame, does it stop that process? Thank you for your time and education. I think in terms of the amount of the speed to have the exposure and make the reaction happen, the radiation itself is the energy required for the reaction to take place. It allows you to reach something called the activation energy, so the reaction happens. I don't think showering is going to, stop. Showering inside, you're not going to get any more vitamin D. But the reactions that have already started, you're not going to stop it just because there's water on the skin. I wouldn't worry. It's what other channels do, cut off. So yeah, other people do Q&As and then they just stop at a certain time. Thanks, Ben. Got a super chat here. Let's have a look. The Princess, thank you very much. It's good to see you again. I recognise you from last time. Many thanks for these videos and can't wait for school. Thank you so much. Can't wait for people to come in as well. Yeah, like I said, probably January 1st it will go live. Enjoy your holiday. Don't try and rush. You've got all month to drop in. You don't have to rush in for January 1st. There may be like a bonus for people that join in January instead of later on. I'll have a look. But it's not fully decided yet. Jeff saying Kinian Pro is a great device. Yeah, good to see you like it. Think red light therapy or LED therapy in general has great potential. Kinian, like I said, I'm not personally a fan, but I don't doubt that it can give good results for people, for sure. Terry, there's a like button. I suggest you hit it now. Don't make me get off my spanner out. Yeah, I'm not sure likes actually do anything or help, to be honest. I mean, if you're happy to hit that like button on there, please go for it by all means. But you don't have to. It's entirely up to you. I'm okay if you don't, put it that way. Thanks for answering the super chats. Thank you for asking the question, Matt. Appreciate it. Just finished my first mini bottle of NAD. Can't say I felt much change. However, my diet is a dumpster fire. Okay. So your diet is working against the NAD almost. The production of NAD is highly linked to diet. It's only produced from what you eat. So if your diet is not great, if it upregulates the Randle cycle, i.e., if you're having carbohydrates and fats in the same plate, you're messing the NAD up inherently, straight away. So that's why carnivore is the way to get the optimum NAD levels, if possible. And I've lost my mouse again. Why is this happening to me? Hang on. There we go. Some repeat questions. I won't go through those. Here's a good one. Would the testosterone propionate be as effective in tightening early jowls, slightly droopy submandibular, crepey throat, neck area as Thermarga or therapy? Synacos and Dermarolling not available in East Canada. Synacos will be available in Canada, I believe, next year, probably second half of next year. Oh, I'm losing my voice already. I'm losing it much earlier today. Let's have a look. I think the cream can help, but I'm not sure it's going to completely get rid of everything, because you also have to look at what's causing it. What's causing the skin cells to not function very well going forward. You have to address that at the same time. The massage oil therapy, I don't think are that great. They're pretty old school, which by itself is not a problem. You can be old school and still great, like microneedling. But it's just superseded now, those devices, by such advanced and high quality clinical treatments. If you really want to tighten those areas, I would suggest you look at, the testosterone propionate cream, LED, maybe some injectables. Have a look at something like Lutronic Genius, Lutronic is a company, Lutronic, and the device is called the Genius. That's going to give really, really great tightening in those areas if possible. Also, you can look at coring lasers, Coring. One brand that does a coring laser, I believe, is called Ultracell. That's very good as well to try and tighten that area up. That we've had already. On the edge of my seat, dripping in anticipation, waiting for my cream. It's going to be a glamorous moment of pure joy. I'm sure it'll be with you probably within a week, I would guess, ish, roughly speaking. Okay, let's have a look. Again, some repeat questions. Alex Byrne, how much will course is to learn injectables like filler and Botox, please? I don't know if I'm still going to be doing those, because it might not really be worth my time. Coach Stephen is in the chat here. Good going, Abs. Yeah, Stephen, I'm amazed. In fact, I'm watching Stephen on this screen, when I've got my live stream on this screen, and Stephen is somehow commenting on my live stream while he's doing a live stream on his, which is incredible. That's top mark, Stephen. Amazing. I know you're not watching because you're doing your own live stream, but I'm impressed. But yeah, filler and toxin, it's not really worth my time too much to do that now. And I'm not sure I'm any better than other people who are doing it already. So it might be something that I provide those treatments for my patients. I do those treatments, but teaching it, generally nowadays I teach it when some company or distributor flies me out to a different country to put on an event for different doctors and things. That's probably the way I would continue doing it, unfortunately. What do you think of tallow for skin? I think it's fine. I've got a message here. No. I think it's fine. I would suggest, I don't know if one tallow brand is better than the other, but two that I have tried, one I've tried and one I've heard great things about. The one I've tried is Fierce Nature from the Real Food Company in the UK. Brilliant company. Definitely please support them. They work with local farmers. They really put effort into good quality products. They're a great company. Another one is Tallow Glow from Rachel of the Carnivore Fitness account, who we did a podcast together. That'll probably be out in the next month-ish, roughly speaking. Great girl, Rachel. She was on the live stream comments actually last time. So Tallow Glow and Fierce Nature are the two ones I would personally look at. Had a super chat, thank you very much, Matthew. Let's get that up. Could you give me your thoughts on exosomes? Yeah, complete pile of crap is essentially all you need to know. They'd say it's good at wound healing, but they don't show you any decent wounds. I've seen I'm sure we've all seen proper wounds, to be fair. But, when you look at proper wounds, like serious wounds, like diabetic wounds, where you're questioning amputation, I've seen those wounds, complete non-healing wounds, stalled wounds, which are the most difficult, completely heal up with the wound healing version of Synacos, which is something I was teaching in Amsterdam yesterday actually. It's called Volnamin, Vulnamin, Volnamin. Super incredible stuff, because it's using amino acid technology. It's working on the mitochondria. How many products genuinely do that? Basically zero. So I've spoken badly about exosomes on stage in front of people that manufacture exosomes, and guess what? They have nothing. They have no rebuttal. They can't come back to me because everything I say is correct. Don't fall for the marketing hype, is what I would say for sure. Justin, watching from Canada. JJ again, Canada. So we've got quite a lot from North America. and I think a few from Australia and a few from Europe as well. Last laser hair removal on the 4th of January. How long after can I start microneedling? Once the inflammation has gone down. If it's still red, stop. Let everything settle down, look back to normal, and then you can go for it. That's what I'd say. CA dollars probably Canadian. Yes, I think it is Canadian dollars. Let's have a look here. Christina. How do you feel about using castor oil on the face before bedtime? Yeah, I mean, people have said great things about using castor oil. I'm sure they feel great from it, but I'm not interested. I've also seen people who have problems with castor oil as well, just to give balance to the equation. I personally do always prefer squalane oil. I've never seen a bad reaction to it actually, but I have on castor oil. So I prefer using that. Just take off the excess so your pillow doesn't get covered in oil, is all I'd say when you go to bed. Let's have a look. Quite a few repeat questions. You only need to put the question once, guys, and we'll get through everything. Assuming you do put a Q in front of everything as well. Oh, Ven's got some advice here. When he was eating too little fat, when he increased, I was eating too little fat when I increased my energy level was amazing. Okay, so when he corrected from eating too little to the right amount, I think is what he's saying, then his energy level went up, and I'm not surprised. That's a lot of my patients say exactly the same thing. What type of meat is best to eat? I don't think there's a single best one. It depends on you individually, what's available, what you can tolerate, all those sorts of things. For me personally, that is beef and pork. That's what I enjoy the most. In fact, I've just had a load today. I went to a Brazilian restaurant a few hours before this. If any of you are in London, this will be interesting, or you've been to London, let me know if you've ever been to a restaurant called Fazenda, Fazenda. It's like a Brazilian buffet where they just bring meat to the table and carve it straight off onto your plate. If you ever go there, you may see me in there. It's brilliant. And also there's a restaurant called Macellaio, which in Italian means butcher. There's a couple of those in London. If you're ever in a Macellaio, you might see me there as well. That is, I think, the best steak restaurant in the whole of London. It's just stunning. Let me know if any of you have been to either of those restaurants in London. Be interested. Jimmy, will we be having live courses in LA in the future? I mean, I'd be happy to have courses anywhere, but the thing is, there has to be enough people to make it worthwhile. I mean, the NAD one, I'm not going to get rich off that. I'll be very honest. I'm hoping to just break even. That's why it's priced, just at 400. Most courses in this industry are 4 figures, 1,000 plus. I put it there because I just wanted people to learn. That's it. I just want to share my knowledge. So it's pretty much a not-for-profit course. And LA is going to be much more difficult to get to, like in terms of flights, accommodation, all these sorts of things. This one here in London, accommodation is zero cost for me because I already live here. I'm going to have to pay for accommodation for other people. Like someone's going to come and do some photos and things. I've got to put them up in a hotel. So there are costs like that involved. But yeah, LA, if the channel gets bigger and there is a demand and there's possibility to do that, why not? I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to. Matt's been to Fazenda. Is it the Birmingham? I didn't know there was one in Birmingham. I've been to the one in Leeds because I used to live in Leeds. And I think there's one in Manchester, but clearly they've expanded to Birmingham as well. Nice. I wonder if anyone else has been there or to Macellaio. Please let me know. Oh, for God's sake, I've lost the mouse again. Give me 1 second. There we go. So, all... I was about to laugh, but I'm losing my voice. All for Jesus Carnival. Hello from Oregon. Yeah, quite a few of you guys from the US. I guess I would have to do something in the US, courses wise, if quite a lot of you are in the US. Also, for some reason, like loads of you are from Florida. If you're from Florida, please let me know in the live stream. I seem to have a lot of people that follow me in Florida. Let's have a look here. Best treatment for rosacea and stinging around the nose. face is always inflamed, everyone always says azelaic acid. I probably wouldn't go for an acid if the skin is sensitive and stinging. I would look immediate term at things like LED to calm the inflammation, and then I would control everything with diet and lifestyle as well. I'm speaking very generically because I don't know your individual clinical presentation, and I have to make everything based on that if possible, but that's a rough idea of the way I would take it. Is it true that patients on Accutane tend to get more scarring after treatment? I would need to know which treatment you're talking about to know really, because it's probably going to be a multitude of factors that play a role in that. Matt says Rodizio Rico is also great, Brazilian steakhouse. I'll have to add that to the list if that's any good. Sam, I'm a 34-year-old man and I am starting to have wrinkles on my forehead. My condolences, but they are barely visible. They are mainly expression lines. Is testosterone cream suitable? Currently on Tret 0.05. Yeah, absolutely, you could use it. You could even keep the Tret because you paid for that. Use this stuff in the morning and then the Tret in the evening, and you could combine it that way. I've got many patients doing that already and they love it. Absolutely fine. Not a fan of, I've explained that already. Over drinking water definitely can be a problem. Yeah, of course, absolutely. What's your opinion on taking cysteine and pantholytic? I think they're talking about vitamin B5, like panthenol, especially for dry skin. Yes, for dry skin, yeah, it'll be panthenol, pantothenic acid. So cysteine is a way of trying to, well, first of all, increase cysteine so that you can use it in things like glutathione production. I would recommend people watch my video I did a while ago called Amino Acid Biochemistry 101. From that, you will understand an individual amino acid has many different pathways it can go down. You have no conscious control of which pathway it goes into. So taking cysteine because it's using glutathione doesn't necessarily mean your glutathione production will go up. It could be the cysteine is used into things like hair production instead. So I'm not a fan of substituting individual amino acids personally. If there's a specific individual need in a clinical situation, fine, it's appropriate. But in general, not for me, I never recommend it. And vitamin B5, if you eat right, you're going to get that anyway. If your skin is dry, I would need to see the skin and look at the history to figure out what it is. But just taking B5 I don't think is going to fix the problem per se. Best diet and vitamins to maximize height potential at 17. I mean, you may have reached your height potential already, but the least amount of non-carnivore food is absolutely what you need to do for anyone. Very simple answer. CB Genesis. How many calories for carnivore OMAD at a minimum for weight loss? I mean, I don't count calories personally, and I don't encourage people to either. I would suggest you need to eat enough till you feel full. That's all you need to worry about, personally, in my opinion. Dave Jenkins. Carnivore diet, ApoB, triglycerides, LDL. LDL, I think, will go up. Triglycerides, it depends on whether you're, coming from a place where you've had a lot of fruit, are you losing weight, all those sorts of things. ApoB, honestly, I couldn't care less. Really couldn't care less. And it'll probably go up, but so what? It's meant to be there. Your body has a code to produce that protein, and so it's meant to be there. You don't need to try and get rid of something that your body is designed to be able to make by itself over millions of years of evolution. Again, some repeat questions. F. Delmar. Can you tell me your thoughts on Altrino versus Trent? What's Trent? I'm not sure what that is. Maybe you probably have to just specify that for me in another comment. Super chat. Let's have a look. If it comes up, why is it not coming up on my screen here? Ah, there we go. Roseline. Thank you for the wonderful work, kind sir. Thank you for watching, my friend. Very humbled that you're watching. Mother's diabetic, but doesn't want to go carnivore. What else can she do? Be diabetic, really. The best case, you have to get the insulin down. You have to get the glucose down. If you want to try low carb, potentially, but you just have to get the insulin down, get the glucose level down, and that is from dietary carbohydrates. Reduce the carbohydrate intake as close as possible to zero. That's what I would say, but slowly, over maybe 2 months or 3 months if possible, is the best way, I would say. Another super chat here, thank you very much. VW Ecom, good to see you again. I remember you from last time. Let me just get back to where I was in the normal comments. 1 second. There we go. Thoughts on beef tallow as a moisturizer? Yeah, you can use tallow-based products. I mentioned 2 earlier in the live stream. One was Fierce Nature from the Real Food Company in the UK. Again, please support that company. They do great work. I have no connection to them. I don't have any affiliate links or anything. Another one is Tallow Glow from Rachel, who runs the Carnivore Fitness account that I did a podcast with a while ago, which will come out probably next month. I would look at both of those 2 personally. Let's have a look here. Acne scars on my forehead and temples. Will Sunacross help improve the condition / even better turn a scar to normal skin? I have seen it turn to normal skin. As to whether it will do that for you, I would need to see it and feel it and know what it's like to give a proper answer, if possible. Let me just get this one up. Nav, thank you very much. Recommended an NAD plus earlier on this live. How does this work? How can it help me? Can I go to a local place to get it injected? How often? You just do it yourself. You can order it online, NAD plus at home. Basically works by optimizing the process of how you turn food into ATP, the energy currency. It potentially could help many people, probably the vast majority of people. People who are strict carnivore probably aren't going to have that much of a need if they've been strict carnivore for a while and they have no NAD deficiency. If you have some sort of relative deficiency between NAD plus and NADH, it may help you rebalance those things. But you do it yourself at home. It's very easy. And the dosage, how often, impossible to say without a consultation and knowing what your individual history is. For my patients that go on it, every single patient, I have a long conversation about what their history is and what they're doing, what their current diet and lifestyle is, and then we make the protocol individually, customized for them every single time. Hello everyone from California, UDS. What's UDS? California. It's my favorite channel and love these Q&As. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Like I said, I will have to do something, maybe some kind of course or event in the US at some point. I'm not sure anyone would actually turn up right now because my channel is still very small. Maybe I'd have to do something with someone else. Maybe Nick Norwitz. I know he's in the US. I'd love to say hello to him. Maybe a couple others. We'll see. Nickname. Are face creams with DHA going to improve wrinkles and sagging and skin aging? I mean, theoretically, you may draw some mechanism by which they could, but frankly, there's better things out there. You know, for example, the testosterone propionate cream that I do go on about, Tretinoin, Dermarolling to improve the collagen in the skin, all these sorts of things. They're going to be much better than anything like that, I would say. Had that one. What do you normally eat in a day? Well, today I went to that Brazilian restaurant Fazenda, and it's just a meat buffet, just piling it on the plate. If I'm not there, I will usually go to Macellaio in London, which means butcher in Italian. Just some of the best steak I've ever tasted in my life, you know. I believe their oven in Macellaio alone was like £80,000 or something just for the oven. And it tastes incredible. If you're ever in London, please check out that restaurant, Macellaio. Phenomenal food. And if I go there, I'll ask them for a cut that's probably about 1.5 kilos, something along those lines. And I'll just have that all in one go with all the fat. If I'm feeling a little bit more hungry, I might have a little bit of beef tartare before, and then have that in combination. I've watched your videos and I notice you always say that moisturizers are BS. Does this include moisturizers that contain hyaluronic acid? Yeah, I mean, hyaluronic acid is the issue for many reasons, which I've mentioned before. I won't go into it here. But moisturizers, again, I still feel they're BS because a good skin is going to be able to hydrate itself perfectly well. Like, why wouldn't it? We've evolved to be able to have our organs working properly, including skin, which is an organ, even though you may not think of it as one sometimes. So it's designed to be able to look after itself. So if it's dry, you shouldn't be reaching for a moisturizer. You should be asking yourself, why is my skin dry? And treat the root cause, not cover up the symptom. That's the way I work with all my patients. We try and find the root cause. instead of just selling them something that they get hooked on and have to rely on for the rest of their life, if possible. J. Will, info for cellulite treatment, live in Birmingham, could you recommend a good dentist? Yes, so cellulite, I personally use Sunacos Cell, depending on the severity. I do find that quite a lot of times in one session it's just gone, or almost completely gone, very commonly. And then we might need a little bit more to finish off the final bits afterwards, but that's it. Birmingham dentist. Ooh, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I'm sure I do know some. If I remember, I will say in this live stream at some point, if I remember. Had that about 3 times now. Don't ask the question multiple times, guys. If you do, I will just remove you from the comments, because it's not useful. It doesn't help other people who want their questions answered as well. Quite a few repeat questions. Does beef tallow improve skin complexion? I think it does. I've had patients report that it does help. Bacon, I think it's fine. Crispy bacon, love a bit of crispy bacon. Always have done ever since I was in school. Go for it. I believe pork in general, or pork meats, apparently are a little bit more inflammatory than beef. I haven't seen the evidence for it, but I think it's said pretty commonly. However, it's still better than eating a lot of fruit and veg, I believe. So for me, it's fine. I love it. I absolutely love pork. Thoughts on copper peptides and low molecular weight sodium hyaluronate? Copper peptides, I'm sure there is a benefit. I'm sure we can all find the 1973 research paper by Lauren Pickart. However, why is the collagen not being produced in the first place? This is what it always comes back to. What is the cause of the issue in the first place, rather than what can I reach for, which tries to cover up the symptom? That's the right perspective I want people to take, I want all my patients to take. However, I'm sure it will give some benefit, for sure. I know The Ordinary do advertise that quite a lot. Low molecular weight sodium hyaluronate, not a fan. Not a fan at all. What is the physiological weight of HA in the body? It's going to be around 1 to 8 megadaltons. Low molecular weight is not in that range. So you've got to think, why do I want to put something that isn't sub-physiological into my body? Not for me at all, personally. Lost my mouse again. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. How can I get cream for the US? Sunacos won't come to the US for a while. The US has like 5 or 6 dermal fillers in total. In the UK, we've probably got hundreds. Many countries have hundreds. Even Jordan has like 70, and it's not a big country. The US are so extremely tight on what can be sold, and so they're very behind in the rest of the world in terms of things like injectables, as an example. The cream should not be a problem for the US either, not at all. I think we've got a super chat here. Let's have a look. Wait till it comes up on my screen. Here we go. Nav, thank you very much again. What I see the difference with NAD with the first injection? Some people can. I have patients that do see a benefit straight away. Other people need a few months. Depends on how much NAD they are missing at the start, which again is dependent on clinical presentation. Got a super chat here from Hannah. Let's have a look. Done 3 Sunacos face and eyes. Is this enough? Depends on what you started with, and also, I'm sorry to say, but it depends who's injected you. If they inject too deep, I was actually helping someone who had a complication with Sunacos in terms of just a bit of swelling that lasted for a bit longer than expected, and it happened because whoever injected her injected way too deep. The 0 patients that I treat have bruises or swelling with Sunacos, and I mean genuinely 0. I had one particular patient. She might be watching. If you are watching, you know who I'm referring to, please say hello in the chat. I was treating her for Sunacos around the eyes. No problem. She loved it. It was great. Then she went to Spain, to carry on getting it there because she's Spanish. And the person she went to in Spain, in I think San Sebastian, did it completely different to me, and she got massive bruises that lasted for a long time, massive swelling, loads of issues. And she knew that it wasn't because of the product, luckily, because when I did it, she got nothing. So it does depend on who is doing it. Practically everyone injects it too deep because they don't listen when they're taught how to do it properly. So it depends on who it is that's doing it, as well as whether you're having it or not. Okay to take D3 and K2? If so, which one? I'll take both. As in which brand? So the D3 that I take, I've got it here. Let me just check the brand. Not that this is the best brand or anything. It's just the one that is very cost effective. It's called Nature Plus. You can see it there. I think the website may have changed name since I actually bought that. So just double check. And the K2 that I have, let me see if I can get that for you, is Super K by Life Extension. Not the best ingredients, because I believe there is a little bit of maltodextrin, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, but it's not a huge amount, so it's not going to massively harm me, so I'm not too fussed. But also typically it has very good quality, quantities I should say, of the K2. And it's trans MK7 that it has, which is really crucial. So I'm happy to use that personally. Like I said, not the greatest in the world, but it does the job. And do you know what? Another reason that I'm happy to use it, because I don't need to supplement K2 all the time because I have the fat with my meat. Rachel from Carnival Fitness is there as well. Hi, hey Rachel. I've mentioned you a few times today, Rachel, if you want to rewind. But because I eat all the fat, I don't need to supplement with K2. So even if it does have a little bit of maltodextrin, I might take it a couple times a month when I'm traveling and I don't have access to good food, and that's it. Any thoughts on Obagi New Derm for pigmentation? Great. Does work, but it's very expensive. That's the issue I have with it. Typically what I will do is I'll treat people with the main parts of that without the entire kit, and they still get great results, which is perfectly doable and reasonable as well. Let me just go back to where I was in the normal. There we go. J. Will. Currently going through menopause. Any suggestions on what to do? Yeah, go carnivore. I've had post-menopausal female patients. Yeah, don't worry, Rachel. I didn't mention any midgets this time. I've had post-menopausal patients become or have periods again. They've become fertile again. No HRT. We've just optimized the diet and lifestyle, and that is all they do. And the hot flushes stop very quickly. The brain fog stops very, very quickly. All these things are gone in super, super quick time without using drugs or injectables or anything along those lines. If we use injectables, that's fine. Like, for example, the NAD, that sometimes plays a role, but it's not essential, and you can just use good quality diet and lifestyle as well if needed. Let's have a look here. Is that SodaStream water you're drinking? Yes, it is. SodaStream. I do like sparkling water. Oh, especially when I'm losing my voice. So, D blue green. I have some tinnitus and I've recently been diagnosed with hearing loss. Soon needing hearing aids. Been carnivore since May. Will the cilia in my cochlea regrow and improve my hearing? I'm not sure if carnivore will regrow them, but my view is that it will put a stop to the damage occurring at the same rate as it was before. Stephen Thomas, UK Carnivore on YouTube is the username. He has hearing aids. When he went carnivore, this is an N equals 1 case, obviously. The rate of damage massively reduced. And I believe Bart K has examples. I may be wrong on this, but I believe Bart K has examples of people in similar hearing problem situations improve their situation by taking that particular supplement that he distributes, or I don't think he distributes, but he is like an affiliate with that supplement. I might have got that wrong. I think it's called Cerul and Stem Enhance Ultra. I would probably have a look at Bart K's channel and look at sort of success stories of people with similar problems to you and see how they did it. I'm sure you'll get some good info there. Tempted to drop some questions on proteomics because that T-Prop cream is a need. I love proteomics. Now, I was talking about it all day yesterday. Well, not all day, several hours, I should say, yesterday in Amsterdam. Liliana, you're very welcome. Thank you for watching. Best at-home remedy for acne scars. Every scar is different, and you've got to get that diagnosis right in order to get the most appropriate thing to do in response to it. As a rough rule, to not for you individually because I haven't seen your scars, in quite a lot of cases I will get my patients to use Dermaroller, use particular skincare that's right for them, maybe combine it with LED therapy, and then we might use some injectables in the clinic as well. And that way they're doing as much as they can at home, i.e. for the lowest cost, and only going to clinic for the things they absolutely need, if possible. That's a rough set of principles, if you like, but it's applied individually every single time. Let's have a look. If it is the eye protection needed while having a red line NIR therapy. Officially, yes. Products have to provide safety goggles because there are market regulations. Have I had LED therapy from the mask without goggles? Yes, I have. Do I personally feel as though I've got any damage? No, I don't. But I cannot recommend that. And a company cannot recommend that, simply for legal reasons. You simply have to go with what the market regulation suggests. That's all. Do I need to use a cleanser if I use a chemical sun cream? You need a cleanser if your skin needs to be cleaned. End of, regardless of whether there's sun cream or not. You don't have to buy an expensive one or a complicated one. Standard Cetaphil CeraVe, not a problem whatsoever. What's protocol when microneedling you have a non-active cold sore? Don't microneedle. Just leave it, wait till it's gone in 7 to 14 days, and then carry on. If you need an antiviral, like a miconazole cream or something like that, that's fine, go for it. Oh, really starting to lose my voice now. The Red Fury. What's your opinion on the MediPeel brand? I like the glutathione line from them. The only glutathione I use is from a company called nadplusathome.com. I can vouch for that quality. I've used it myself. My patients have used it. It's clean. It's stable. It's reasonably priced. I know it's not cheap, but you get what you pay for. The purity, the production is fantastic. That's what I personally always go for if I ever need it, and all my patients do. Never ever had a single complication whatsoever. That's definitely the one I would go for. Does minoxidil oral or topical after stopping weaken the healthy hair follicle? I'm not sure it would weaken the healthy hair follicle, but there may be other things at play after you've stopped which contribute to a lack of health of the hair at the same time, I think. What's the best laser treatment for sagging skin? I would look at a coring laser. There is one called Ultra Clear. Basically what it does is it basically takes out a section of the skin, tiny section, so you don't get a scar. But when you do that loads of times over the face, the whole face kind of shrinks. It's a bit like a facelift and a laser. It's about as close as you'll get to a facelift with a laser, but not with a scalpel in your hand. And I've seen really phenomenal cases. I've seen vitiligo, like patches of skin with no color, start to normalize with that laser. And again, if you're in London or in the UK, I would recommend a guy called Dr. Pratish, Pratish. He's fantastic. He's probably one of the most experienced people in the UK right now with that laser. He's such a nice guy as well, and I really think he deserves a shout out here. If you want skin tightening, Google that guy's name, Instagram that guy's name, Dr. Pratish, and just message him, say, you watch these videos, you're interested in his laser, and you will not regret it. It's just brilliant treatment, brilliant device with a brilliant clinician. Let's have a look. Does semen retention decrease acne? Not as far as I'm aware. I wouldn't have thought so. There may be some link between testosterone and acne, not as a causative factor, but as an associative factor, I would say. So there may be some indirect link at play, perhaps, but I've not seen a direct link between those two, personally. Can you use a pro cream and tretinoin on forehead? You can. Jimmy, I'd probably say you separate them, buddy. So you use that morning and your tretinoin in the evening. That's what I would suggest. Let's have a look. Again, some repeat questions. See if you can put a Q in front of the question as well, please, just so I make sure I don't miss things. Ravi, love from India. My love goes out to you as well, buddy. I was born in India. Just wanted to know if I have very dry skin, can I start with Synagogue 1200 or should I just stick to 200? You can use both. It's not about one or the other. You have to go for both. They work together. As a patient, you're not choosing. You are having both together. There's no choice there. You can't have one without the other to get the best effects. Sandra, copper peptides. I've already mentioned that today on the live stream. Does it make it look alive, or is it other things working at the same time? I think they can work. I don't think they're anything special though. There are better things, because they're not cheap either. There are better things to spend money on, in my personal view. What is such a fibroid, cyst, and endometriosis? Got testosterone cream and soap. I recommended it. Dappling 1%, niacinamide powder, and squalane. Please, could you suggest a plan? I need to see the skin. I just absolutely need the skin, and I need to know a full medical history to go for that. But also, skincare-wise, you don't need all of those things at the same time. I mean, when I've done those videos talking about those ingredients, typically I'm talking about using them on their own to say they're great. But that doesn't mean you should use all of them at the same time. At all. Maybe you misunderstood the videos, perhaps. But it's impossible to give a plan without seeing everything first. Let's have a look. Wild Viking. Controversial subject. How much protein would you recommend for someone maintaining or building muscle? I would recommend eating until you feel full. Simple as that. You could look at amounts. I personally tend to go for something in the region of, let's say, 1.75 to 2.5 grams of protein per kilogram of lean mass, if possible. But I never really recommend that properly. I just say eat until you're full. And that's it. You don't need to worry too much. Where do you buy your meat from? I just get it from the restaurants, to be honest. I don't really go to any particular butcher at all. Are you familiar at all with Candela laser? Yes. I don't recommend Candela, personally. Jacksonville, Florida. Candela, I mean, for laser hair removal, Candela is going to be fine. Not a huge issue. But for acne scarring, I would look at Sciton. Sciton, and I know they are in Florida, definitely, because I know they're all over the US. So I would suggest you look at a Sciton laser, something like a TRL or a Halo, probably the best ones. TRL is total resurfacing laser, and I have lost my mouse again. Let me get my mouse. There we go. So. Rachel, dialing in from Australia. G'day. I'm sorry, that was such a bad Australian accent. What are your thoughts on using concentrated growth factors, waste time, and biocompatible alloplast, such as bone ceramic in wisdom tooth surgery to aid recovery? In terms of the wisdom tooth side, I would suggest I am out of the loop with the latest updates in recovery. However, I personally use something called amino gum for surgery in things like that. It won't be available in Australia though, so I'm not going to go into detail because there's no point, you can't get it. But if you start to eat properly, carnivore diet, and use things like NAD plus and glutathione, the ability to recover is going to be fantastic. And then if you have other things like that, great, that might be a decent bonus, depending on who you see. And if you want a really good dentist in Australia, I would recommend you go for someone called Lincoln Harris. I have no idea which part of Australia he is. I know Australia's huge. You've got to get a flight from one place to the other quite a lot of time. But Lincoln Harris, top dentist wherever he is. I think he's near the coast somewhere. Although everywhere's near the coast in Australia in terms of the major cities, so that's not very helpful. Matthew, let's hear your thoughts on the benefits or not of aspiration when injecting. I appreciate the answer was likely to vary depending on the injection site depth vasculature. So what Matt's asking about is when you have an injection of, let's say, dermal filler, when you go into the skin, sometimes you hold the syringe and you pull back the plunger and you see if blood comes in the syringe. And if it is, you then take the needle out and you put it somewhere else so you don't inject into a blood vessel. I don't aspirate because there's no evidence to suggest that it is 100% effective. And the thing is, we know where the blood vessels are. I have ultrasound, so I can see where the blood vessels are and I can see my needle and I know I'm not in it. So there's no need for me to aspirate. And also aspiration, even if you're in a blood vessel, doesn't mean you're actually going to see a positive aspiration and see any blood in the syringe, because it depends on the gauge of the needle. And in fact, the ideal aspiration protocol would be different for every single filler and every single specific filler within that filler range as well. Each manufacturer would have to have their own aspiration protocol for everything in their range. And even if you do pull back, how long do you have to pull back to know it's a true negative in the result? I don't think there's an answer for that that's universal. So personally, I rely on ultrasound. I see the vessel. If I know the vessel is there, I'll just make sure my needle is there, and I've got nothing to worry about. All good. That's the way I get around it. Mark, what microneedle size would you use on the neck for a male? Again, depends on the presentation. The average might be, let's say, 0.5 mil. That's an average. Could be much less, could be much more. I don't know you individually to give a specific answer. Liquid loops. I have a question about Tretinoin. I've been using it since June. I'm using sandwich method with CeraVe. I'm desperately trying to get rid of 11 lines. Any advice? Do whatever you need to get over that adaptation period. I'm really losing my voice here. To get over that adaptation period. If you have to use something from CeraVe, go for it. But do also look at something like Tretinoin, squalane oil. That can really help seal the skin and prevent moisture loss just as well, if not better than the CeraVe, in my opinion. And also try and reduce inflammation as much as possible. If you can get the LED mask, like the one from Style Pro, and you blast the near infrared, I think the setting on there is called Recovery, that is going to really help reduce the inflammation so things start to heal much quicker if possible. Let's have a look. Second part of the question, use it 3 times a week, finding now getting more wrinkles as in crow's feet. That's an individual thing then. I would need to see a consultation to figure out what's going on in that case. Thoughts on low dose isotretinoin? I've answered that earlier in the stream, so I'm going to try and not repeat questions so everyone can get a question answered. What do you think about using alpha and polyhydroxy acids for skincare, anti-aging skincare, for like preventing alkalization and acidity balance maintenance? Your skin will maintain its pH by itself. Its acidity and its alkalinity, it's designed to take care of that by itself. Just like taking care of hydration and everything by itself. We've had 4.5 million years of trial and error. And using those acids, they may play a role for an individual at that individual time for that individual clinical presentation. For everyone, forever, constantly, absolutely not, in my personal opinion. You don't need to rely on random things like that. Remember, your skin can look after itself. You don't need a huge amount. Let's have a look. What's better for acne? Different Testosterone, Xerotin? No such thing as a best one. There is one that is more and less appropriate for you as an individual at that individual time. I really am losing my voice now. Oh. Let's have a look. The Red Fury from Romania. Fantastic. Somewhere else in Europe. Let's have a look. Is tan skin a health indicator? No, it's an indicator of melanin secretion. That's it. Nothing else to look at other than that. 27 Spirit Girl. Thank you so much for your patience and generosity in answering our questions. P.S. Love having the chat on Sundays. Love from Canada. Thank you very much, first of all. Really nice of you. Maybe we can look at Sundays for the future. If any of you are still watching, please genuinely write in the comment whether you prefer Saturday or Sunday. Because if I know you all say Saturday, I won't do this again. And it does. I will listen. Like if everyone's saying one particular thing, I'll try and make it on that particular day. Melissa, do you like Xeomin for a neurotoxin? I like it better than other toxins, but I don't like it the most because I think Nuceiva is the best. In America, it's called Jeuveau. In other places in Europe, like Kosovo and Albania, I believe it's called Nabota. But it's still, the same toxin. It's just a different brand name. Just like Axe body spray in the US, it's called Lynx in the UK. Let's have a look. Isn't some level of insulin necessary for cellular repair? Question mark. I personally don't feel as though it is. Insulin secretion once a day by eating enough of your protein and fat is perfectly normal. But in terms of cell repair, you've got to be a bit more specific in terms of saying the phrase cell repair, I think. For example, you look at DNA repair with sirtuins, you don't need insulin for that. You need ketosis to get that for free. And that comes from not having constant insulin secretion all throughout the day and having an extremely high insulin to glucagon ratio. So not necessarily is the answer for that. Can you do a virtual consult for acne scar revision? Live live in the US, but interested in seeing you for cosmetic work. It's a tricky one because I could do it, but you can't guarantee that what I'm saying is best for you because I haven't felt it with my skin. Sorry, with my fingers. That's not always a problem because some are treated the same way anyway, whether you can feel it or not. But you have to understand there's that risk that I'm not giving you the best advice. And you've got to be okay with that. Let's have a look. Looking to get around 8 to 10 ml filler for male masculinization. It'll be very pricey. Have to drop anyone in Europe. Can you please recommend a good cheap injector? No. Do not get a cheap injector for that if you're still watching Life in Line. Or there's a part 2 here. Because anyone in the UK will be too expensive, especially if 8 to 10 ml are used. It will add up. Turkey is also fine. Don't. Honestly, I can't recommend to you enough going cheap. I've seen so many people go cheap and it becomes more expensive because then they've got to dissolve it and then go again. And even if you dissolve it, what about the damage that's been done by putting a bad filler in a bad place? Just don't do it. I'm not going to recommend somewhere cheap because there is nowhere cheap that I would recommend. I mean, I do cases like that. You can see some pictures of my cases where it is, large amounts of filler, but it looks appropriate because it's proportional and we take our time. Sometimes it might take me 2 hours to do an 8 to 10 ml case because I'm constantly ultrasounding and seeing where everything is. You don't always need to. It depends on the individual. Sometimes we only get the ultrasound out once or twice, and that's fine. We don't need to see anything else. But typically, never, ever, ever go cheap whatsoever. What's the difference between NAD plus and NMN or its other alternatives? So NAD plus is the goal. That's what you're trying to increase by using those supplements. Not that you should, but you may want to. NMN is something that is a precursor to NAD, so it may help increase levels of the NAD going forward. Just like beta-carotene in carrots is not vitamin A, it's a vitamin A precursor, so it can be converted in some effort to vitamin A ultimately. And so NMN as well as NR, etc., they're all things that ultimately trying to increase the level of NAD plus in the end. Microneedling my hair for 0.6 ml for a year. Had cosmetic success, no side effects. Once tried doing it on my face, I have good olive skin with no problems with acne, in 30s, thoughts. You can give it a try. As to whether that depth is correct for you, I can't say, because I don't know what your skin looks like. But the principle of going and doing some microneedling for the face, no problem with that whatsoever. What is your opinion on mouth taping? Taping the mouth at night to force nose breathing during sleep. I wouldn't do it. If someone has a little bit of blockage in the nose that they don't know about, and they close their mouth shut, is that going to be dangerous at some point? I can't recommend that at all, ever. Rage Line, based in London, want to get sent across from me. I work on Harley Street, which is like the medical capital of the world, really. So that's where I would be. It's in Marylebone. Nearest tube station will be either the Regent's Park station on the Bakerloo line, or I don't know, it would be actually Oxford Circus with Victoria Line or Central Line, and that's the best way. Oxford Circus. Best ways to increase melanin synthesis for grey hair. I'm not qualified enough to be able to give a good answer on that, so I'm going to hold my hands up and say I'm not the right person to ask that question, unfortunately. Christine, can we use Suncross to treat stretch marks? Questions from Turks and Caicos Islands. You absolutely can use it to use stretch marks, to treat stretch marks, and I've seen them disappear after one session at times. Really big ones sometimes need more than one, and that's fine. I don't know anyone specifically in Turks and Caicos that offers it though, so you may need a little bit of travel if possible, but definitely can be used to stretch marks for sure. Okay. David. Heart palpitations after NAD+. Okay, stop. There are receptors on the myocardium for this, and so that's why you can get problems like that. If you are getting that, you have to stop. For your own safety, you have to stop straight away, even if it's half dose. Just leave it. It's not for you. You've tried it. You've had a dangerous symptom. Do not go any further with it. If you want a micro dose, like nano dose, if there's such a thing, and you try like a 1/10 of a dose or 20% of a dose instead of 50, maybe that might be worth something looking at. But then again, you've got to look at what is your diet and lifestyle. They play a massive role in this thing. YG Sabo. My brother was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. I'm sorry to hear that. And my sister has Crohn's disease. And I'm sorry again. But both are autoimmune. Is there something to mitigate or cure it? And how does diet play a role? I mean, frankly, you can get rid of that in about 3 or 4 weeks, just by transitioning towards carnivore. Doesn't take me any longer than that. The average time it takes for me to try and treat those sorts of things is about a month. I know Anthony Chafee does it a little bit quicker. That's fine. I just prefer to go a little bit slower, just so the gut bacteria has a little bit of a chance to update itself based on the new diet. But typically, yeah, a month and it goes for me in my patients. But it's not difficult. You just transition towards carnivore, and honestly, it's as quick as that. You don't need to worry. Any opinion on the flu shot or the 2 words I can't say there? I haven't had either, personally. That's my opinion, shall we say. Raj, is carnivore diet good for hair and skin health in general? Yeah, absolutely. I would say for the whole body, it's definitely good in terms of the health of every organ, not just the skin or what the skin does. Is there a real benefit of taking the supplement PQQ? Pyridine, something quinone, pyridine, quinone, or something like that. I can't remember now. Yeah, I mean, you look at studies where there's a gene knockout where that doesn't exist, and they get really frail skin. But how useful is that study in clinical practice? Not that useful, frankly, because most people aren't going to have a problem with that. You'll be fine. So I don't think there's any benefit in taking that supplement, frankly. And I just wouldn't at all, ever. Not sure everyone uses Revan S. One of the other products you'll find with practitioners using The only other one that I would be fine with is Yvoire, Yvoire, great product, but again, pretty rare. And why would you want to go to someone who is not using a good filler? Do you want to pay the price of infections, granulomas, delayed onset nodules, delayed complications and adverse events down the line, months down the line, years down the line, simply because you went cheap? Don't do it, my friend. Don't ever, 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 any of you think about going cheap for things like that. Go for good quality, and if you can't afford it, don't do it. Simple as that. Let's have a look. I will listen whenever you post. I've learned so much. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciating the effort, knowledge, and patience you have. Stay the sand. You have stay the sand. Hey? Effort, knowledge, and patience. You have stay the something and be blessed. Whatever that means, but because I can listen to you all day. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Let me know where you're watching from as well. I'd love to know. I've got this one here. Let's have a look. Sobana. Love your chats, learning something new each time. I'm glad. That's exactly why we do these things. Let's have a look at this one. Christine. Certified medical esthetician. Can you please share how and which other products? What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand the question there. Can you please share how and which other products what? Yeah, I'm lost on that one, unfortunately. Let's have a look. Filler for fixing scleral show and also injecting into the upper eyelid for hollowness. Yes, I do that. Fixing scleral show is sometimes you've got to try and lift things, and that might even be something you refer to for plastics. But the upper eyelid hollowness, yeah, I've done that before. It's not a problem. Can you recommend others in the UK that can? I don't know anyone else that does it. Typically, everyone I know, they refer to me. So I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But if it's an issue, I would probably look at something like plastics first to try and fix the scleral show. Get a payment plan if it's appropriate for you and you're okay with that. Not a problem. Obviously, this isn't financial advice. Fix that, and then down the line, look at filler for the hollowness if possible. Yeah. Whiplack. Thank you, Dr. Trubbs. I appreciate all the efforts you put into your content. Thank you so much, my friend. Watching into with Tom about red light mask. Do you know if this mask will make it to Canada? There's people in Canada that already have it. I think there's a website called Cosmetic, Cosmetiere. And I know people in Canada that have bought it using that particular website to get it there. So don't worry, you can get it there. You just got to buy it from someone other than the actual original manufacturer, if possible. So, hang on. How do I? Okay, there we go. I think that's pretty much everything. We've finished much earlier. Thank you very much. I'm going to get some sleep for once after these live streams. Today was only 2 hours 40. Amazing. So this will probably be back in around 2 weeks, I think. Not the first. So probably on the 8th of December, I think on the 7th or 8th, probably the 7th. I think this will be the next live stream date. And if you want to ask any questions leading up to that, so you get them in first, when the event goes live on the live page, you can type them into the live chat even before it's actually live. So thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you all in school in the future. And like I said, any future questions, pop them in the chat before the next one starts, and I will see you there. Take care, everyone.